All right, welcome everybody to the July 19th version of the Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals. No one is participating remotely. I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
And?
Second.
All right, all in favor? No roll call necessary. Here we go. 7:30 p.m. Continuance public hearing will be held by the Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals on Tuesday, July 19th, 2022 at 7:30 p.m. on the application submitted by Douglas Mendez Andrade, 18B Bates Street, Abington, Massachusetts, for a special permit pursuant to Section 415-15.c4, automobile service stations, repair shops, and agencies, to allow the applicant to repair, display, and sell used cars. The special permit will allow the applicant to seek a Class II license from the Board of Selectmen. The tenant of this property is Douglas Mendez Andrade, DBA Andrade Auto Sales. The site is located in an I-1 Limited Industrial Zone, Section 415.15 of the bylaw, located at 250 Webster Street, and is further identified as Lot 29 on the Rockland Assessors Map number 35. The owner of the property is... Say your name. Don't make me say your name. 10 Grove Street, number 2, Belmont, Massachusetts, 02478. The applicant and all interested parties are advised to check the town website and the zoning board's webpage for additional information. Okay, where did we leave off? Where did we leave off? Why don't you come up so we can talk, because you were kind of taking the spear, you were spearheading this, and you can stand at the podium there.
Okay.
And again, name and address for the record.
Ghulam Shahanagi, they call me Ali. The last name is Shahanagi.
Okay?
10 Grove Street, Belmont, Mass. 02478.
Okay. So talk to us. Where did we leave off, and
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I don't understand what you mean, where did we leave off? I don't...
well, as of the last meeting,
Yes.
there was a whole bunch of stuff that hadn't been done to be in compliance with the last special permit.
Everything was done and completed. Mr. Ruber came over and checked it out.
Okay.
And I was over there myself and make sure everything is completed.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay.
The lines.
Because you had given us notice that the line striping hadn't been completed in accordance with the plans. So
I'm sorry, one more time.
you gave us notice. You sent us an email saying that the lines hadn't been painted correctly.
Correct, we corrected.
Okay, so you corrected that.
Corrected, yeah, that is why Mr. Ruber came over and checked it out.
Okay.
Everything is per plan, and no ifs, buts, ands about. Everything is per plan. And we already put there some kind of, some location asphalt, and then spray, and basically looks fantastic, in my opinion.
I've driven by several times, and it does look good. So, Mr. Rubel?
I went by there at the end of last week, and I had a couple issues, and I swung by there tonight. One of them was the handicap sign that's up,
Mm-hmm.
and on the west side, they did some plants and everything.
Okay.
So I'm all set.
All right. I'm going to put this over here because all you're going to hear is me. So he's 100% in compliance with everything that was on the plan.
And I hope it stays that way.
Well, so do we all. Board members, I'm going to start over here.
No questions.
No
Mr.
questions? Mr. Tanzi?
Chairman. No, I don't have any questions.
Mr. Galley?
I don't have a question. I was just going to say, my recollection is that the flavor, you'd like to say the flavor of the board.
Yeah.
It seemed to be that if they met these conditions of the previous approval,
Mhm.
generally it meant that it was going to be approved. So it seems like they met those conditions. So I just want to state that it seems like you met those conditions. It looks good. I have no questions.
Sounds good to me, sir. Mr. Baker?
The only question I had is, looking at the building on the right side, there's been cars parked there, angle parked against the building.
Continuously. I've noticed that.
And there's been work being performed on it,
I've noticed that.
and I don't believe that was supposed to be happening there.
I don't believe that any work any automotive work on vehicles was to be conducted outside of the building.
Never happened.
Really?
Never happened.
Really?
It's been
Never
happening.
happened.
It's been happening.
It's been
Never
happening.
happened, not even one single screwdriver.
Our eyes
Take it
must
over
be,
there, everything
our
was
eyes,
inside.
do you want my glasses, Bob? Do you want my
Take
glasses?
it.
Okay, it's all good.
Douglas, did you do any work outside?
And
of
be,
the
just
building?
be conscious of the fact that he works in town and I drive by there every day.
What are you saying about walking car? If the hood's open, I'm walking the car.
If the hood is open, well, without going on the site, we don't know necessarily what you're doing, but you're not supposed to be parked there anyway. That's the point. Why are you parking
Which
there?
side?
Hmm?
Which side?
The right side.
Right.
Actually, and the left side, up against the building. You're not supposed to be, and you have been. And it's, again,
Most of the time we park the car there with the hood open, what do you do? Thermostat, but the car have to be pulled out, check the engine, just park it there, close to us, we can not leave any things all over the place.
but it's not supposed to be.
Okay?
That's
Mr. Chairman,
yeah.
excuse me, we read the condition,
Mhm.
and in the condition never say no parking on the right side of the building. And sometimes the delivery guy come over
Mhm.
and park over there, deliver the part, getting car.
That's
and
live
then-
parking. That's a different story.
Yes.
That's live parking, all right? He's saying that it's not in the conditions. Is that correct? I don't believe that's correct.
Parking on the right side against the building,
Yep.
there's nothing in the conditions. On the right side, where the parking lines are lined up, the cars are lined up, cars can be there.
Yeah. But up against the building, there's not supposed to be anything parking up against the building.
I couldn't see it. I thought there was too. Show it, if you can show it to me, that's fine.
Deb, you got a copy of the,
Well, the site plan doesn't show any parking spaces on the right side of the building.
yeah. And he is right. There's no parking spaces on that side of the building, so you're really only supposed to be parking in parking spaces.
Correct, sir, there's no parking space over there, absolutely. There is no line over there. That is the empty space, and that is why, like I said, the delivery guy come over and drop the car, get in car and lift. Sometimes, I'm not gonna lie to you, sometimes, yes, the car was over there, but if you guys want not to park any cars over there, so that is basically your decision and we obey.
I was sweeping that street one day, and I came up from Hingham Street up. There was a bunch of cars parked there, no one in them. There was 2 cars with the hood open. I went all the way up to Union Street, came back down, those same 2 cars with the hood open, with a guy's head stuck inside the engine compartment. And the other cars were still there, the same cars.
I can respect the fact that if you have to jump the car, all right? I can respect that. But that's jump the car, get it started, and get it in there. But
I
if,
appreciate understanding, sir. Thank you.
I mean, that's basic automotive. If you gotta just get it started to get it motivated to get it in the building, that's respectable. But he's saying that there was people working on these things, so, and that can't happen. You know, that
If
definitely
is a
can't.
big problem.
And I shouldn't even be talking to you, I should be talking to you. That can't happen.
Okay.
All right.
Never gonna happen, never see.
All right.
Never see.
Rock and roll.
I'm the man of my word. If I said not gonna do it, not gonna do it. I don't like nobody come to me. He told me something.
Mhm.
I told Ali last Friday, everything's gonna be ready for the meeting. That's it.
Okay,
He come on Sunday, said, you're good. He told me to be ready, you're ready.
dig it. Just no offense, sir, please understand this. We heard that from the last guy. All right, so you have to understand why we would be cautious.
I told Ali too. I told him too.
Okay.
I know this is not from me, it's from the other guy. Me is a different story. Ruben, when he go there, he said, you look in, even inside the garage, it's
Mhm.
completely different story. Garage always clean, everything's clean. I don't like nobody to come and bother me for something I do wrong.
Absolutely understood. Mr. Rubel, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay with the, no one working outside. inside, but if there's a car parked there and the hood is open, he's analyzing the issue, bring it inside, that's another thing.
Again,
So again, to police this, if I see a hood open and somebody's got his head in there, unless I see somebody with tools or something working on the car, there's nothing I can do about it.
that's my point. That's my point. If it's obvious that something is happening, that's one thing, all right? If it's literally, if it's a jump start, you know,
Tires on, somebody changing the tire.
yeah, I mean, that I can respect. But if somebody's out there changing an alternator,
No,
all right, then we got an issue. If somebody's out there doing an oil change, if somebody's out there, you know, and there's an antifreeze leak and it's leaking all over the place, and you got the hood open trying to figure out where it's coming from, that needs to be inside.
Yeah, that, I know that, I never do oil change in my car, I never, even in my house, I never did. I
Okay.
don't like to do anything outside the bay, everything has to be in the bay.
So again, I come back to you, Mr. Rubel. Are you happy so far?
Yep.
Attorney Gallivan, do you have anything to say at this point, sir?
Nothing to add.
Okay, at this point, I would entertain a motion,
Close the hearing.
close the public hearing. So,
Motion to close the public hearing.
okay.
Second.
I got a motion and a second, all in favor?
All right.
All right, and technically, Tim was voting on this. I'd like to pull up Mr. Galley as a voting member because
I am a voting member.
you are a voting, are you
What are
positive?
my notes?
All right, well then I'm not
All my
worried.
notes say that.
If that's the case, then I'm not worried about it.
Prior hearing, so.
So worst case scenario.
I don't like to volunteer for high wire acts, but yeah.
No, I dig it, but I mean, worst case scenario, if you work, great.
Yep.
If not,
Yep.
either way, we're pulling you up. So
All right.
we're covering all of our bases.
Great.
So again, all in favor was everybody? Yes? All right. Now I go to my cheat sheet. The hearing none, close the open portion of the meeting. All right. Al,
Yes, sir.
the board will deliberate tonight, and you are welcome to stay. You are also welcome to stay, Mr. Mendez. You will receive a decision in the mail with a date stamp. 21 days from the date stamp on the decision, go to the town clerk's office. Request a certificate of no appeal, and if no one has appealed, the town clerk will give you a certification and a copy of the original decision. Take those to the registry of deeds and have them recorded. One of the conditions is always to show the building department proof of recording. Do not step in. Okay. So there you go. We're going to deliberate tonight. We're going to end this tonight, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Sit down, have a drink. Let's see, it's 42. The next one is, I can't touch this until 8 o'clock.
Mr. Chairman, I have, if there is a time, I have few paragraphs to read over here.
We've already closed the public hearing.
We already,
It's done.
then I will email it to you, everybody's attention.
And what is this pertaining to, sir?
Pertain of, let me make it short. 2004, I purchased this property, 18 years
The
ago.
history, sir? We know that if you're talking about the history, we know the history.
Yes, what I'm trying to tell you, Mr. Chairman,
Mhm.
in 18 years, not even one complaint from neighbors, neither from customers. Always, the lot was always clean, and inside was always clean.
Until the last
My
guy.
first tenant was a law enforcement officer from.
Sir, we already know this. We've already said
Then
this.
why, when I am coming over here, I am thinking I commit the crime and I'm gonna be sentenced?
Because the last
Why
guy,
should put the lock on my door? Who get killed over there?
what?
Who get raped over there?
Whoa, sir, please sit down. Whoa. All right, we got, again, 15 minutes till 8 o'clock. If anybody needs the men's room, I would say use it now.
Do we have any minutes or anything?
Nothing's been forwarded to, no, not right now.
We should get rid of them before.
That would have been a good,
So what do we wait till 8 o'clock to do the next
Oh, we
applicant?
have to.
And then after that, we'll probably like close it and do like a,
Deliberation for
Yeah.
everything.
okay.
Yeah.
You can deliberate on this in the meantime.
Say again?
You can deliberate on this one in the meantime.
Right. I don't see a problem with anything that's going on. It seems like everybody involved is gotten to the point where they know and understand what the issues were,
Yeah.
and if it isn't 100% there, they're willing to make sure that it is.
Yeah.
So we recognize the issues. I think everything should be fine. I'm willing to go and, give the benefit of the doubt, because I know the last guy was just not, he wasn't there. So,
And I know the building inspector's happy with
exactly.
all the conditions and everything else.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I think we should,
You're still gonna need a sign, so they're gonna meet the signage bylaw.
All right, so that's a whole different issue. He's gonna have to come to you
Sound
anyway.
is in the picture.
No, that's all right. We'll see it.
And the plans already-
Okay.
we'll keep the original conditions plus the modified ones.
Yeah, any modified ones. Deb, were you able to pull up those conditions, so at least we can all kind of look at the screen and... It's gonna be a kind of a pain in the butt for everybody, but at least it's there.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question? You don't mind?
In regard, it's,
Am I analyzing when I said something from my heart and I don't know?
sir, the meeting's closed. The open portion of the meeting is closed. You can't talk anymore
Okay,
in regards to this.
Sorry about
I hear what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
I'm sorry about that.
It's not helping you though, so.
You can't read that fast,
I know. You just want the conditions. right?
Yeah, I just want to see the conditions. I also want to make sure I know who the special permit is going to be granted to. Because I know there was a question, I know there was kind of an issue as to who was really going to be, who the permit was going to go to.
So that's the first page of the application.
Owners of the property, address, name of applicant. Yeah, Mr. It's De Andrade, is that what it is? It said Mendez for some reason, I don't know, I was thinking Ava.
It's right here.
Mr. Andrade, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because as based on the application, I know there was a question of who was actually going to be getting this. I mean, in the end, if the applicant is Mr. Andrade, he is responsible for making sure all this happens. As we'll talk about it later, but as the owner of the property, he's kind of responsible too.
Right.
So that's we got to think about that.
The owner's responsible for his tenants.
The owner is responsible for his tenants, and the tenant is responsible for all the conditions on the special permit.
Right.
Yeah, doesn't it basically become the tenant is responsible, but the owner has to meet the conditions so he can keep a tenant in business
Exactly.
and renting from him or leasing.
Right.
Exactly.
So he's got an indirect responsibility if he doesn't have a direct responsibility.
And the tenant needs the Class 2 license.
Right. Okay, conditions, da-da-da-da-da. All right, the first one is staple. The second one, again, that's coming directly from the last one. I don't have a problem with that. Outside display or storage of parts or anything else other than the permitted vehicles at any given time, which that would also mean tire racks. I've seen I'm not saying I've seen them on the property, but that's also what that means. No junk cars on display, I got no problem with that. There should be no trucks with more than 4 wheels, trailers, tractor trailers, or cabs stored on the property at any given time. Okay.
Is there anything about boats? Should we add boats?
I would say add boats.
Because there's no provision, there's no parking, storage space.
Yeah, any kind of storage
It's
space.
unsightly. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a high visible piece of property and we want it to,
Can we, number 5,
It was changed, this is, okay, I remember this. This is where it was changed. More than 4-wheel, da-da-da, with a growth da-da on the property at any given time. There shall be no trucks other than those fitting in appropriate parking spaces.
well,
Well, how are you?
a truck over up to 12,000 GVWs has more than 4 wheels.
It's a dually.
It's a little 6-wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So then change that to be more than 6 wheels?
yes.
Okay. All right, so,
That means anything under a 1-ton, a 1-ton or under. No big box trucks, no big 6-wheel dump trucks or anything like that. A small landscape truck.
everybody cool with that? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There shall be no spray painting at any given time, that's a given. There shall be no
Excuse
pressure.
me, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry.
I didn't realize we were moving on. from
Oh, my
number
bad, sir.
Can we, in addition to Mr. Tanzi's suggestion on boats, can we add recreational vehicles?
Oh, hell, yeah. Yeah.
like campers and.
Campers,
stuff.
ATVs, and anything like that.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, there shall be no spray painting, there shall be no pressure washing, there shall be no detailing. But then it was no detailing of cars other than those vehicles that are for sale or displayed. All washing of vehicles has to be done inside the building where the drain is located. That makes sense? Does
Yep.
anybody have a problem with that?
Nope.
No, that sounds good.
So number 9,
I'm just gonna move that up a little.
I'm gonna go to Mr. Andrade. Are those hours okay for you? Okay, so that works. There shall be no signs other than signs shown on the approved plan, name, part of the revised, copy to be filed with the decision. Okay. But there's another sign that you were just talking about, right?
There's no sign here now, he's applied for, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, so the problem is that this says there shall be no signs other than the signs shown on approved plan named parking lots. Is that, do you know if that sign is shown on the approved parking lot?
The sign that was there.
Yep.
The frame of the sign is there.
Okay.
So the permit that he's gonna give, issue, is probably gonna be a refacing.
A refacing of the sign that's already there?
Because of the law.
Okay.
New applicant.
All right, so I'm not gonna worry about that because the sign and the sign base are already there. Any A-frame or sandwich board signs must be approved with a permit issued by the building department. I'd rather say no. I'd rather say none of those signs, but it was in there the last time. If the board is okay with it, I don't think that's a problem because it's gonna be advertising signs, oil change, $69,
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have a problem.
And the building department has discretion to approve and disapprove?
Those A-frame signs we passed, I believe it was 4, maybe 6 years ago.
60 days?
They're temporary signs.
Okay.
Temporary sign for 60 day in one calendar year or something like that. Yeah. I remember when we did that.
All right, we got 7 minutes. The applicant must maintain vegetated buffer as shown on the site plan approved by the board, blah, 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 blah. Mr. Rubel?
Yeah.
Is that buffer there?
Which one you want?
The number 12, 10-foot vegetated buffer zone on the left, west side, 10-foot vegetated buffer on the front,
Yep.
and in the front, right side. He's got all the buffers.
You got the plans there.
All right, so he still has to, so he has to maintain them. They're there, so he has to maintain them. The special permit is subject to review in 1 year. I like that. Obviously, date's gonna change. Special permit is granted 2. Here we go. Owners of the, This is my question, Attorney Galvin.
Yes.
The special permit, the applicant was Mr. Andrade. But there was a question as to what was going on, as to who the special permit was going to be granted to technically at the last meeting. So we're bound to give this to, if we're going to approve, we're bound to give this to Mr. Andrade, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that's gonna have to be changed to Mr. Andrade, number 14. Say the new owner shall file an application for a public hearing for a new special permit, okay? Site plan must be submitted, the site plan must be submitted to the board showing the following, blah, 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 blah. All
They
right,
already did all that, didn't they?
well, he,
Parking spaces and everything?
he did the site plan, because there was an issue with the site plan the last time.
Right.
And we gave him the special permit, and this is what this was. 15, I'd like to change that to say, a formal site as-built plan shall be submitted to the board for review.
Yeah.
That way we have something in the file that 3 years from now, we can go to and say, this is what was there on that last date. There shall be no off-site or street parking, that's a given. Let's see, the business of 250 Webster shall be confined and operated within said boundaries of landscape buffer zones, we know that.
Too far.
I think 18, there shall be no other businesses added. Outside lighting shall be baffled as to not allow light to go onto properties. The location of 25 permitted sale display unregistered shall be located in the spaces provided as shown on a site plan with this decision. The 25 number of permitted vehicles is the maximum number of, next page, vehicles allowed which may be displayed for sale. There shall be a total of 33 parking spaces on the lot for the following vehicles: 1 handicap parking space, 3 customer parking spaces, 5 repair parking spaces, 2 employee parking spaces, and 25 used car for sale display or unregistered parking spaces. Which again, this is saying, basically, the way I read this, is that the only vehicles that are supposed to be parked on the lot are in parking spaces.
Right.
That's the way that I read that. So I don't know if the board wants to add a condition that says no vehicles shall be parked on either left or right side of the building. It's up to you guys. It's up to you guys. I
Or-
appreciate.
Could you
Or
just phrase
outside
it
the
as,
park-
nope, sorry,
No, he was talking first.
sorry.
Or, I agree with that. Probably a simpler statement would be that no vehicles can be parked.
Long term.
No, unless they're parked within a parking stall on the approved plan. Because if you limit it to no parking on the sides of buildings, well, they'll just push the car off to the, out in the middle of the access aisle. And now it's not against the building, but it's a fire hazard blocking off.
It is.
You know what I mean?
No, it is. It is. And technically,
And
where
I
the
think
car
it's
is-
cleaner and simple if you just say, there shall not be any car parked on site unless it's parked within a parking stall.
I have no problem with that. Mr. Baker Senior, Mr. Baker Junior?
I agree with that.
Mr. Baker Senior? Yeah?
Yeah.
Mr. Galley?
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing, just word it differently, but the same thing.
All right.
So add that as a new condition or just as a part of 20?
That,
Yeah.
let's hold it as a new condition unless we can reword it in 20.
The only thing I was gonna say was, I would, like I said, I would've just flipped the language to say parking shall only be within painted striped parking spots.
It's the same, it's the
It's the
same
same
verbiage.
thing, exact same thing, just the opposite direction.
Number 21, that's a given. No parking within the buffer zone. Too far.
Just give me room.
This should be touchscreen. I would love it if this was touchscreen.
Sure it's not.
To be made, go back to 21, just to make sure I read that right. No vehicles parking within the 10-foot buffer that is to be maintained between the vehicles and the property lines. There shall be no parking on town property, including the sidewalk on Webster Street. There shall be no gasoline and or diesel fuel stored at this location. Yep, the parking lot shall be striped and space numbered. See, this is where it gets weird, because the reading that we've seen in the past said that the spaces had to be numbered like that, like on the ground, and that makes no sense. That makes no sense, because in the grand scheme of things, I am not gonna ask Mr. Rubel
Yeah.
to go on site and count how many how many of the employees, how many of this, how many of that.
Yeah.
He knows how many unregistered vehicles are supposed to be on site. And that's it.
Can we refer to this plan?
I believe so.
Dated 8/16/13.
I like that.
It's the same thing.
Awesome. That's perfect. Instead of, hold on.
That's what it says,
All right, we gotta stop. Fold that up.
8/16/13.
Sorry, gentlemen, 8 o'clock,
We're
8
at
o'clock,
Condition 24.
24. Just remember where we are, 8 o'clock. Whoa. Public hearing will be held by the Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals on Tuesday, July 19th, 2022 at 8 p.m. on the application submitted by 808 Market Street LLC, 808 Market Street, Rockland, Massachusetts, care of attorney Edward Valenzola, Valenzola Law Group, 273 Chauncey Street, Mansfield, Massachusetts, 02048, for a dimensional variance pursuant to section 415-22, building and lot regulations, and 415-89.1 for lot area for two-family existing homes. The bylaw requires 32,670 square feet for each unit, and the subject property known as and the subject property known as and numbered 808 Market Street, Rockland, Mass. has 40,678 square feet. The property is located in the R2 Residence Zone District, section 415-9 of the bylaw, and is further identified as Lot 7, Map 54 on the Rockland Assessors Maps. The owner of the property is 808 Market Street LLC, 808 Market Street, Apartment 1, Rockland, Massachusetts, 02370. The applicant and all interested parties are advised to check the town website and the zoning board's webpage for additional information. Mr. Applicant, who's Mr. Applicant?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
Members of the board.
Mhm.
Mr. Shuttlesworth, Mr. Rubel, Edward Valenzola.
Okay.
I'm the attorney for the applicant. I filed the application, and thank you for taking the time to hear this application tonight. We filed with the application some photographs that I'll refer to as I go through the presentation.
Mhm.
You also have a plan showing the property.
We know it well.
With me is Mr. Liviano Anker, with the striped shirt.
Mhm.
And he lives, they bought the property as an LLC, but he lives at the property with his family in unit number 1.
Okay.
His wife, his 2 sons and daughter, one of his sons is sitting in front of him here with us. The property, as you indicated, is in the R2 zone. 2-family is permitted in the R2 zone, so that's not an issue tonight. It is a lawful use as 2-family. It's lot area that we have, we need the dimensional relief on the variance for. The lot is shown on the plan that we filed. When the property was purchased by my client in October, just a few years ago, October 2021, it was occupied as a 2-family unit. Unit 2 had a family in it, and they currently, there's still a family living in it now with a 6-year-old child. My client's family has lived at the property in unit 1, I believe, since about 2017. They heard the property was going to go up for sale at some point in 2021. They made an offer. My understanding is there was no broker involved. They dealt directly with the seller. From all appearances, and I'll go through the applications, the submission I gave you, the property was a 2-family. If you look, attached as exhibits, I've given you the first exhibits. Is the 2 gas meters. So if you look right from the street toward the house, your first picture of the house, you'll see there's 2 meters right in the front.
Can I interrupt you real quick? So, who's the owner? Which one of you guys is the owner of the property?
Mr. Hankett is.
Mr. Hankard, raise your hand, please.
Yeah.
I don't have my glasses on, so I don't know who I'm really looking at. Straight?
Raise your hand, sir.
Mr. Hankard? Okay. So, Mr. Hankard, you purchased this piece of property from the person that did the A&R plan, is that correct?
No, I think there was 1 or 2 transfers, but I was gonna get to that. I know where you're going with it.
Well-
So he bought it from, you're right, so back in 2010, and after Mr. Rubel was generous with his time, we spoke a couple times earlier this year about it, and after our discussion, we both agreed that the only thing for me to do at this point is come to the zoning board. But we understand what happened in 2010. This is different. I've been doing doing zoning law for a long time. This is different from what I've seen many times. with
The,
the
can
applicant.
you tell us what defect to the land
I'm gonna
would
get-
would
yeah,
get
I'm
would
gonna
would
get to-
allow us to be able to grant said variance?
Yes.
That's really what you need to get to.
All
If you
right.
can get to
Well,
the
I just wanna
point,
give you a little color if I could.
we already know this. This is the problem. We already know this. And I know you want to you want to do your thing. I dig that. But please, respect this board. We know what's going on with the property. We know the history of the property. And to request a variance and for us to grant a variance is a slap in the face to the planning board. It's a slap in the face to the planning board.
Well,
They're the ones who said that in order for the A&R to go through, that it had to revert back to a single family.
I'm not disputing that.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, what I'm trying to point out to the board is that my clients, they didn't know when they purchased. I gave you a mortgage plot plan. I gave you other documents. If you look at the photographs, there's 2 electric meters outside. There's 2 gas meters outside.
Because it was a
One door, 2
two-family.
one.
It was a legal two-family. It was.
Oh,
But
I
in,
understand, but these folks didn't know. So here's where we're at today, the fact of the matter. There's a family living in Unit 2.
Yep.
With a 6-year-old,
Yep.
right? Paying below market rent, and my clients are happy with that. They'll be displaced. And as you all know, market rents have gone up ridiculously just in the last year or so.
Mhm.
So those folks are gonna be displaced. My clients applied for a mortgage, and got a mortgage based on it being a two-family. I have the paperwork. This isn't a situation where the applicant created I've seen it before, right? The applicant creates the non-conformance, they divide a lot, then 8 years later, they come to a board and they say, hey, let me get a variance, now I wanna build on the other piece. I would not be here if that were the case right now and insult you with that. What I'm trying to submit to you is that these folks did not know. This is their first purchase of residence. They live there with their kids.
they learned something that we all learned from watching the Brady Bunch. Caveat emptor. All right?
You know-
That's what we learned from watching Greg Brady buy a piece of junk car.
It's in a
All right.
two-family zone, and I would just respectfully urge you to consider the circumstances here. If you drive by there and you look at the house, and I've done a lot of zoning, if you look at it, you're not gonna say, gee, that doesn't belong there. That two-family doesn't look right. I mean, sometimes variances are granted. I grew up in Braintree, so they give out variances like ice cream cones there, especially if you're in the Five Corners, right? You drive by some properties, you have pork chop lots,
Mhm.
where you have one beyond. So you drive by, you look, that doesn't belong there, that doesn't look right. What I'm submitting to you, if you drive by this property, this house, you don't look at it and say, that two-family doesn't belong there. First of all, it's zoned, and it looks appropriate. There's a new driveway, plenty of parking, and, again, the hardship, the shape of the lot is the hardship, not that they created it, but it is the shape of the lot. The practical hardship, respectfully, is gonna be personal to my clients and to the folks that live in the unit next to them. They'll have to find some place to go, and they're not gonna get the rent, to be able to pay the rent my clients are charging right now. So I urge you, I get it, we're not trying to insult the planning board, we're not trying to insult this board. These folks were blindsided by this. And the only, I think, and Mr. Wu will correct me if I'm wrong, the way it came up is he went in to get a permit, a building permit, to your office, and I think that's how it came up, that eventually you sent a letter to them. But they had no way of knowing before that.
Yeah,
Please.
this has been ongoing since they formatted that lot. As soon as they formatted that lot, the person that formatted the lot that built the house was aware that that house now is a single family, reverts back to a single family. They knew that way back when, okay? I don't know as far as the owner goes, if you went through a company, a real estate company, and they did the due diligence and checked for, to see what that lot was legal. Because if they did do that, come to my department, check that folder, they would have found letters
Yeah.
saying that it had to be a one family. And if he paid cash or didn't go through a broker, they probably have nobody to check on Harrison and Mission.
Right.
And they didn't pay cash, they took out a loan that was based on it being two-family with income producing in one of the units.
They took out a
And-
loan let me ask you a question. They took out a loan with who? With a bank?
A lender,
A lender.
a private lender.
Okay.
So, they took out the loan, and all the closings I've done over the years, I've not had a situation where especially if it's zoned for two-family, where the person goes down and checks the building department. Sometimes they do now when they say they want you to warrant that all permits have been pulled appropriately for the property. We say, look, we don't know what permits have been pulled, go down and check the building department yourself and check the folder and see what you can find out. But in this case here, they had no reason. It was, since they moved in 2017, it was occupied as a two-family. Someone was in Unit 2. There's a number, if you look at one of the photographs I gave you, Unit 1, Unit 2.
Mhm.
You know, these folks are not sophisticated in buying real estate.
So they didn't have any representation.
They had a bank's lawyer that did the bank.
The bank said the bank's lawyer's working for the bank. Come on.
The bank's lawyer works for the bank.
No,
doesn't look at
they
doesn't
didn't.
look at
You guys
anything.
didn't have professional representation.
No,
You bought
they
one of the
didn't have
biggest, one of the
representation.
most important assets that any person can have is their home, and you didn't have professional representation.
But Mr. Chairman.
Learning a lesson
lot
here.
of folks these days buy property and they just use the bank's lawyer, and there's no reason to go beyond and check the zoning.
Until you're here tonight.
Again,
I don't mean to keep. I apologize.
there's
I
no
don't mean to
there's no
keep
bad
interrupting
faith
here, but
these folks are not acting in bad faith. There's no, they're not trying to insult the board, this board, or the planning board.
Mhm.
They're in a pickle. And, you know, if you can't grant them the variance here, they gotta evict the people in Unit 2. I don't know what that'll do to them as far as being able to pay their mortgage. So we could have, you know, and I know, look, these are personal things, right? It's not no problem at the end of the day, but I'm trying to give you a little bit of the background here and how this is going to impact them. And again, they didn't create this problem back in 2010, and now they're here saying, give me another lot. I wouldn't be here if that was the history.
no, I appreciate what you're saying. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna open it up to the board. Mr. Baker Jr., do you have any questions for the applicant's attorney?
Not for the moment, if I can perhaps come back in a few seconds.
You got
after
it.
Other members of.
Absolutely. Mr. Tanzi?
I do not have any questions.
Okay. Mr. Galley?
So I think who is responsible to identify what the zoning is for this property?
Who is? What do you mean?
Who, well, is it the applicant themselves? And they're supposed to either go to the town building department or have their lawyer do it, or?
Put it this way.
Yeah.
Typically, when you buy a piece of property, and you may remember this from, do you own your home or do you?
No.
All right, so you don't know
I'm the
this.
least knowledgeable person on this
All right.
subject.
I bought my first home in 2003. All right. I had my own attorney. I had the seller had her own attorney. All right. There was a title search done.
Yeah.
They went back all the way to when she bought the lot and then and prior to. All right. This is what happens when you buy a house.
Yeah.
When you're supposed to. If everybody has representation,
Yeah.
they analyze the lot to see if there's any issues.
So a title search would have found that.
Mr.
I've heard of a
Chairman,
title
Yeah.
search, okay.
May I?
Please.
Please. You're correct, a purchase and sale is done, a title exam is done. What is not done in the typical closing, single family or two family, is a zoning determination. It's only done if there's a question that comes up because something looks odd. Like, for example, if we look at the house here, right, you've got the 2 meters, you've got 2 electric meters. Now, if these folks were gonna buy it and it just had the 1 unit and the people are telling them, oh yeah, that garage looking section, you can use that for a second unit, right? That'll be a second unit. Now, they should check on it. If I'm representing a buyer in that situation, I'm running down and looking at the building folder to see what the story is. In a case like this, in your typical single-family or two-family sale, where it looks like a two-family, it walks like a two-family, it's got 2 meters, gas meter, you never, ever check the building folder. You hardly check the building folder. It's not part of your title. Your
And
title
I can
is-
respect that. I can absolutely respect that. But my question is, first and foremost, I went to you. Are you?
Yeah, I'm done for now.
Are you sure?
Thank you.
Mr. I
My
want to
other
go
question
to.
at
I
the
want to go to
time,
Mr.
sorry.
Baker Senior. I apologize. No, we're going to keep going with that. But Mr. Baker Senior.
When was this picture taken?
Oh, just this past couple of months. I don't know.
Okay. I went by there today, there's a 3rd meter. Over here,
What?
there's a 3rd meter there.
Solar panel.
Didn't look like
Yes,
it
they
was
got-
hooked up to
they
the
got
solar, there's
solar.
no meter on it. It's just a box.
Is it hooked
with
up
the
yet?
cover, without a meter on it.
It's not running yet? No, it's for a solar panel.
It's a meter for, does that make sense? It could be a meter for the solar
It
panels?
could be,
But
but
there's two gas
it's a brand,
meters.
it's brand new.
Okay. And that would make sense. I mean, it would make sense. I would make the same mistake, you know that.
Oh, it wasn't on the property.
I dig it. I dig it.
The other, this used to be a barn, a garage. What is that converted to now?
That's, most of
With
that's
the two
storage
doors.
garage area, right? The building on the right, that's still, I walked in that myself. We opened it up, it's storage.
There's two
You
doors.
can't- You can't put cars in there. There's another photograph, sir, what I show, the two
Yeah.
doors, the unit 1 and 2, which gives you a better angle of the two units.
The other thing
And
is,
there's unit 1, it's coming up on the screen. I think there's a photograph.
who owns the box truck in there?
Box truck.
And there's a bunch of other junk in the, on the,
Um,
looking at the
My
house on
client
the left
does.
side.
There's two driveways there, there's on the
Right,
left side.
on the left side,
Yeah, setback. That's my
This
client's.
stuff.
Yeah, that's my client's truck. There's the two units, you can see it's sort of upside down, so there you go. So you see unit 1 on the left and unit 2 above the car on the right. It's two separate entrances with the
I
two
understand
units.
that.
One is 3.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Baker, but I think you're going after the fact that there's a lot of cars parked out there.
it's, looks like a
Well,
junkyard.
It looks,
At one time, when I had talked to you on the phone, I had asked you to check the property in regards to water repairs.
Yes.
And how'd you make out with that?
I checked it, and every now and then his dad does some work there, or he's done some work, but they're not running any kind of auto business, and they promised me that's not happening, and it's not going to
so
happen.
all those vehicles that we see on Google Earth, those are all registered vehicles to that property.
When I was there, I don't know, I'll let my client speak to that. When I was there, it was just the tenant had a car there because I had to get out of the way. I parked in the way. And they had some vehicles there for, I think, a 29-year-old daughter,
Mhm.
for Bruno Lucia, and for the parents. But, and I think some of them would park on the driveway that's to the left, that's more like a dirt driveway. And then you've got the new driveway that's to the right
Yep.
of the property in the front.
I miss Zoom. Okay. Now, unfortunately, this is going all the way back before the lot was even subdivided, was even redivided. So I can't even look at that. I know current Google Earth does have a different picture on there. So again,
It seems like there's an awful lot of entry doors in the front of this building for a two-family.
no, I dig it. I hear where you're going.
Well,
I
to
hear
the
where
right
you're
is the
Two,
garage
three,
areas.
4, 5, 6, 7 entry doors.
It's a big house, they're only using two units, there's 3-bedroom and a 2-bedroom unit, 2 families, and they're marked unit 1 and 2. We're happy to let the board, take a look, inspect it and walk through, if you want to continue the hearing and take a look at the property. We'll agree to whatever conditions you want to put on this, as far as
Mhm.
the building inspector's ability, to check on it, to verify.
Attorney Galvin, how can we even think about granting this? There's nothing legally that we can go with.
The answer is if you're convinced by the presentation, they've met all the requirements for a variance, you can grant a variance. But if you're not convinced of that, then you can't.
In my general opinion, this is a financial hardship. That's all I see. I don't see that's all I see. But again, board members, this is up to you guys. And I just don't see how we can grant this without, again, slurring what the planning board already said.
As you know, Mr. Chairman, I think the legislature for years now, I've practiced primarily in zoning and land use,
Mhm.
looking to revise, to change the statute, because a strict reading in council, I'm seeing your attorney here, strict reading of the statute, I don't think anyone would ever technically qualify for a variance. 99.9%
Hmm.
of all applications would fail. So in my 40-year experience, what happens is the boards do look at the circumstances and try to come to grips with, you know, what is going on here. Is this an applicant that's created their own problem that's now asking us to bail them out? Is this a personal situation where people are going to be hardship? There's a family that's going to be evicted, and then my client's family, I don't know that they can pay the loan that they have. So we're going to have, you know, foreclosure, we're going to have some stuff going down there. And the economy's not good right now. Yes, this is all personal, but I'm asking you to respectfully take it into consideration that this is an unusual situation that's not created by them. Shame on the people that sold it to them. Again, if they had, even if they had me as an attorney, I wouldn't have gone down to the building department to check the file on this, because I see unit 1 and 2, you know, it looks like a two-family. It's got 2 meters. There's nothing that would have piqued my curiosity to say, it's not part of a title exam. The zoning plot plan, which I gave you, says there's no zoning violations. It appears to be in compliance.
But that was wrong.
You wouldn't have noticed the change of the lot, that lot being formatted, that was part of that
We don't
property
look
at
at the
one time.
plan, not as part of the title exam. We just look at, we would look at the plan that's on record at the Registry of Deeds. But that doesn't say, when I first looked at this, I thought that someone made a mistake. I didn't know how the planning board allowed a subdivision creating a nonconformity.
Well,
Because-
in the grand scheme of things, they can do that.
No, they didn't though. They didn't, in fairness to them. They did. I thought the planning board allowed a subdivision back in 2010, an A&R plan.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it saying, why would they do that if 36,000 is required per unit?
Because they said they're gonna take that two-family. and
That-
make it
Right.
into a single family.
That's what I'm submitting to you. I didn't figure that out, and I've been doing this for 40 years, until after I spoke with you a bit, and I remember I did a public document request, and I got the whole folder, I got all the documents. I said, it doesn't look like the planning board did that, and it doesn't look like the surveyor did it. It looks like these guys were allowed to subdivide, but told this stays as a single family.
Right, because the planning board can do that. They can
agree.
endorse an A&R.
I agree, but what I'm suggesting is that no one had any way of, my clients had no way of determining all of that in 2017 when they moved in, and in 2020 when they bought the property.
Yeah,
It's
but
just
look at
not
the guy,
part-
I mean,
it's not
have you,
part of the title exam.
what happened to the guy that you bought it from? Where's the
It's
guy?
I think an LLC out of another state or something. So they had trouble there. The owner of the property had trouble. And, you know, there's no luck.
That's why it was denied the first time, because there was an issue with the title.
Yeah.
That's based on the minutes that I read. There was an
Yeah.
issue from the beginning. Supposedly that got taken care of, and
That was
that's
different.
why the planning board
That's right.
allowed it to happen, knowing that it had to change and it had to revert.
I'm moving forward, not to hover.
No, I understand.
I played in too many rock bands when I was younger, so I
Oh,
better.
my kind of guy. I like that. No, this is good. If we had Zoom, you'd understand why. But I'm gonna go back to the board. Board members, do you guys? I don't know. I know that everybody wants to keep talking and try to push this. Does everybody feel that they have enough information to make a decision tonight?
Yeah.
Do we need? Does anybody think that they need to see the property, go to the thing, da da da? You look at it, you have something, yes?
I just had a couple of questions. now.
Please,
Yeah.
please.
Just to clarify, Counsel, so it's, property, as I understand it from your presentation, has been functioning as a two-family since, what, 2010?
Well, I don't know, it appears from the file that I got, it's been going on for a number of years, but my clients moved in around 2017.
Right, I understand that.
When they moved in, it was a two-family.
2010 was when the A&R was approved,
Okay.
and when that
2010
other
when the
lot
A&R
got
was
created, and then in and around then, that's what that other house
Okay.
got built.
So theoretically, it was probably operating as a two-family.
It always was.
Okay.
It
At
always,
some
it
point
always was.
Before they moved in 2017, it was two-family, because they moved into Unit 1 and someone was already in Unit 2.
But it was an illegal two-family.
Right, yeah.
We're in
And that's,
agreement, we're in agreement.
Yeah, no,
And-
I-
and I do agree, Counsel, having back in the day done a lot of closings, that the typical title search, certainly from the perspective of the lender's attorney, wouldn't pick this up. And probably, if the buyer were represented at that time, as you suggest, unless something just leaps out, the buyer's attorney isn't gonna go to town hall or city hall or wherever it might be to look that up.
Can I ask a question of, and this is your legal expertise that I'm asking.
Uh-oh.
When the title search is done, wouldn't the planning board's recorded decision come up as well?
If something is on record, it should.
Then
Usually, all that would be on record would be the recorded plan.
what about the planning board's decision? Doesn't that get recorded?
Not usually
Not
so.
on an A and R plan, they simply endorse the plan on an A and R.
Yeah, but an A&R plan usually has plan references in
And
notes.
from where it came from, but it wouldn't say anything about the
I have it
planning
here.
board's
I have a
decision.
copy of
No,
the A&R
but-
plan.
I think I attached it as
I have a
exhibit,
question.
so-
The A and R plan says the endorsement of the plan is not a submission under the subdivision control law. It does not indicate that the lot is buildable or that it meets zoning, health, conservation, or general bylaw requirements.
That is something that
Record
the,
owner was a gentleman by the name of Mark Rufo for 59 Union Street, Randolph.
and that's staple. That's absolutely staple. That's a notation that goes on, that should be going on every single A and R
You
plan.
don't, when you do an A and R plan, you're not representing to anybody what they can
Mhm.
do with the lot, whether it's buildable,
Nope.
not buildable. The board, planning board, zoning boards can't put their neck out in that.
Mr. Galvin, is that language you just read boilerplate?
On an A and R plan, it's kind
Yeah.
of.
Okay. So that,
But I
that,
agree with you. I mean, usually when you do a title search, you wouldn't find, unless there's a special permit or a variance
Right.
in the title, you wouldn't necessarily glean anything that would give you indication that would be a zoning issue.
I
As a
thought
matter
the
of fact,
planning
when we
board-
issue a title certification to the lender
Yep.
or to the buyer,
Yep.
which we're required to do in most circumstances, we exclude from our title certification zoning compliance.
Take it.
We don't certify as to zoning.
Oh.
Investment properties are typically, the lender will require a zoning opinion from a zoning attorney.
So again, this would come down to the bank's attorney or the bank's counsel, the lender.
Yes, but if this was residential in nature, there may not be a zoning opinion.
Even though it's a two-family?
Single and two-family, they never, they don't.
Probably wouldn't.
But commercial's correct. I've read
Okay,
the
commercial.
zoning
Okay,
bylaw.
that's what, you say investment property, I
There'd
think
be
a two-family is an
there'd be
investment
appraisal
property.
done, and they would have disclosed, that would have obviously shown that there was potentially a two-family here, okay? But there wouldn't necessarily be anything. I mean, I do think that this purchaser here, you know, unfortunately, they're responsible, but they might have been someone that misled them about the status.
I have no argument with that. I am not arguing that at all. Your client bought a lemon.
You know,
An appraiser too wouldn't have been.
By the way, the reality is the people at 814 Market Street also have a zoning problem.
Exactly.
As long as this is a two-family.
Exactly.
So it's not just isolated to 808 Market Street.
No, and this
There's
is,
a concept called infectious invalidity.
I love that.
Versus
I
the,
love that.
Until this property is a single family, that property also has a zoning issue.
This is why I called you and asked you, is this something that if worse came to worse, you could pull the occupancy permit of that house?
I don't know. Well,
I mean, it could go that,
But I
I'd,
can tell you the zoning issue plagues this lot and the abutting.
right.
An appraiser wouldn't have had
I'm
any.
a little concerned as if this goes through and everything goes okay, and this happens again.
This is precedent.
On two-family without the square footage.
This is precedent.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, that's where you were going, right? Okay, we're on the same page.
Land is unique, right? Each situation stands on its own merits, so I'm not, I've argued this to other boards before. What you do here, keep in mind, this is a zone for two-family. An appraiser looking at this had no reason to go beyond seeing it's a two-family in a two-family zone. And that's
Mhm.
allowed, right? So why would they go and look further? They don't. This is for residential purposes, owner-occupied, residential with one unit for rental.
Mhm.
So nobody had, look, if they had any reason to, they would have bought the property if they saw any of this. But this is gonna be devastating. I'm sorry to keep repeating myself. This will be devastating to them and to the people that live in the other unit.
No, I think the board is very, very conscious of that. I believe that all my board members are excruciatingly conscious of what you're talking about. problem is that we have to be able to make this work in regards to the soil shapes and topography of that lot.
Right.
And that's the problem that I'm having right now, and that coupled with the fact that the planning board has already said that this hadn't to happen. And I have a very good, we all have a very good relationship with the planning board, and I have a hard time turning around, looking at the planning board and saying, yeah, whatever.
You think under the circumstances, they would have an understanding here that these folks are, you know, innocent bystanders, if you will, that just everything pointed in the right direction of being two-family and.
I hear you.
You didn't hear what the chairman just said. We can't take into consideration the hardship on
Financial.
financially or anything. We have to go by what the zoning says we have to do.
I can say this, I agree, you know I agree with you 100%. I have seen case law where the zoning board was able to take into consideration, and the zoning board did take into consideration a financial hardship. But when it came to attributing it to a defect in the property, there was a creative way of doing it.
I've suggested.
Mr. Chairman, when I look back into the title on the abutting property,
Mhm.
what happened is, this was A&R by Rufo.
Yep.
Rufo then lost the property.
Yep.
To AmTrust Bank.
Yep.
AmTrust Bank sold off the lot at Market Street.
808?
Yeah, in 2009.
So 816 was already sold and built at the time, wasn't it?
Well,
What was the,
no,
what was,
no, wait a second, 808 was foreclosed.
okay.
And there was a foreclosure deed recorded on 12/30/2009.
Okay.
So,
Was it a vacant lot at the time,
Nope.
Bob?
it just says Lot B.
The lot to the right was vacant in 2010, is my understanding, before the A&R was done.
Yep, because it wasn't a lot.
Right.
When was my question
Well,
is
no,
when,
was it foreclosed as a vacant lot, or was there a house on that?
it was already A&R'd. When did the foreclosure happen, Bob?
Foreclosure deed is dated December 30th, 2009.
This is where, okay. This is where it gets interesting, because what's the date of the approved plan? I think the date of the approved plan was 2010,
So
and this is,
Lot B was foreclosed on, that was 8/14. This was done June 22nd, 2010.
this is where it gets interesting, because this is why they did
This
not
was done by
approve
the
it.
bank.
This is why the planning board did not approve the first rendition of the plan, because there was a question as to who had the title. And then they came back, it was a
appears
month
that it
later.
was done by the bank.
Ugh.
The foreclosure deed was recorded on
So
2009.
so that it was foreclosed on in 2009,
Correct.
but yet the date of the A&R plan was 2010?
That's correct.
How in the... I- All right, without going any further into this, we already know that there's severe issues here. Anybody else? Anybody else want to have anything to add? Any questions, any comments? Yep, are you good? Everybody else good? Anybody in the public want to speak in favor of this application? Stand up, podium, name and address for the record.
He lives with me, and we're together, so we come up together.
Usually the woman talks for the man. So
He's from Ireland. so-
either way, the podium is right here. If you want to come up, you guys can both come up. If you're going to hold hands and stuff, hey, that's cool.
No, that's all right.
Again, name and address for the record, please.
Shannon Barnes, 800 Market Street.
800, so
We're
we're
next door.
on the left side.
If you're facing him, we're to the left.
Okay.
So we just moved there a little over a year ago,
Mhm.
and from our observations, we only just thought it was a two-family.
Yep.
But I can say that the family that is living there, even though there's a little bit of a language barrier, they've gone out of their way to like communicate with us.
Mhm.
They brought food over.
Mhm.
They're just very friendly. But I've also noticed from the time we moved in till now, they've really been like kind of restoring the property. It looks like they're
Mhm.
cleaning it up.
Mhm.
And I don't see, I know people say there's a lot of cars, but I don't see as many cars as people are saying. Maybe because, you know, I'm in the evening, you know, out back.
There's a fence between you guys too, right?
There is, but we drive, I mean, we drive
By
by the
them.
house.
No, I dig
Taking
it.
my son to the
I
Y back
dig it.
and forth, you know, it's just not an observance of mine. I know he has the box truck that he uses for work, but.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure,
You like your neighbors?
yes,
Do you want to see them go away?
no. And they're really nice. I mean, I just get, like, for them to have a language barrier with us.
Dig it.
And we have neighbors that can speak English to us.
Yep.
That did not even talk to us for over a year, except for the Ralstons next door that get really, really nice as
Mhm.
well. But no one really ever talked to us. They went out of their way with the language barrier to communicate, like
Mhm.
have, you know, people translating, to just welcome us.
Mhm.
And the tenants next door, the same thing as well. And they just have the cutest little kids, and they're just playing so nice.
And they brought you food?
They have a pig roast, and then, you know.
Was it good
he's
food?
at the fence
Is it
sniffing it
is it
out,
good
and
food?
they must-
Yes, smells good?
Yeah, they must feel bad, because he's always groveling. at
So
the
you
fence
like
as
your
they come over.
neighbors and you don't want to see them leave?
Yeah, like, they're just nice, and we're, you know, and they've made it, like, I brought them to, you know, they've asked us if we need anything or anything like that. They've also, I've noticed from community, like, they're working hard to get their English.
Yep.
And so that, and we're not, in our sense, we're not trying to learn their language to communicate. They're going out of their way to.
So you're the bad neighbor?
Well, I didn't do well in Spanish in high school.
No, I
You know what
dig it,
mean?
I
Like,
dig it, I dig
had
it.
to do my requirement, and then I was on my way. But we just love Rockland. You know, we've been here a little over a year. And
Dig it.
just, like, I have nothing bad to say about anyone in the surrounding around us.
Mhm.
So that's what I had to say.
Thank you for your comments, thank you for stepping up.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Anybody else want to speak in favor? Anybody want to speak opposed? Stand up over to the whatever we're calling this thing, the podium, the pulpit. Name and address for the record, sir.
Robert Manzola, 21 Manzola Court.
Speak up, can't hear you.
What?
Speak up.
Robert Manzola, 21 Manzola Court.
Mr. Manzella.
I've been there 65 years. Know this house very well. Unit 2 used to be a garage, you know that. The original people had horses in the garage. She used to ride up and down the street with it. Cute little blonde, nice kid. She'd ride up and down with her horses. Way back, probably up until maybe 5 years ago, it became a two-family. Whether or not it was legal or not, back then it had the size of the lot, so everything was legal. But because of the Form A, now it's not legal. And I was at a planning board meeting, and Mr. Can't think, he used to roll the bell, the Liberty Tavern. Rossman told the planning board that he was gonna take that building down and build a single-family home. And he's gonna build another single-family home on the other lot.
Okay.
The other thing is, they run a business out of there. 808 Realty Landscape, whatever they call it. They just bought 487 Market Street, which is down by the police station.
Mm-hmm.
So if they do have to evict these people, they do have a place to live and put. So technically, there's really no financial hardship here. And the other thing is, we used to own a lot of two-families.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime we went to a bank loan, they would want proof that it was a legal two-family because they're depending on that income to pay the mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to make sure it's legal.
So that's it, that's if it's a Rockland Trust, a Rockland Federal
That's a
Kid.
bank.
Yeah.
And he went through a
Private lender.
Yeah, so.
This is
I
what
haven't heard anything
I'm,
you need, I haven't heard anything you need, I have nothing. You know what to do, I don't know.
anything else, sir? I'll take that as a no.
Oh, we do.
No, I was talking to Mr. Manzella. He almost dropped the mic. So I thought that was going to be funny. No, I thought you were going to drop the mic. I thought that was going to be funny.
May I comment briefly on the last?
Absolutely, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My clients have been here for barely 10 years. They're from Brazil. The speaker who spoke in favor of this application indicated the language barrier. I didn't bring that up in my initial presentation, but I think that adds to what I said initially. They're not, you know, sophisticated in the ways of how we buy and sell property in the United States. God bless them that they've been in this country less than 10 years, and now they want to buy themselves a property where they can live and have, you know, a rental unit. So, you know, that just goes with everything else that I've said before. These folks are, you know, blindsided here. They didn't create this hardship. They didn't create the, you know, the non-compliance. But they're gonna pay for it, and, you know, if you're not kind enough to indulge in grant them variance.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and this is just to follow up on something that Mr. Manzella said in reference to your clients running a business out of the property. Other than the truck being parked there, is any business operation actually taking place on the property?
There's no business operation being run out of the property. And as you know, with the truck, for your, you know, if you have a business and you get your truck and you drive back and forth, you leave it there, whether it's a pickup truck or some other vehicle.
This is a box truck, correct?
That's,
They allowed to park there?
Park there overnight?
does it stay overnight? Yeah. Do you leave it overnight?
How many wheels are on?
6. He has 6.
6.
So 2.
How tall is it?
It's about.
It's over 8 feet.
10 feet.
You need to come to the board.
Yeah, it's right there, that's a,
Park in a residential area overnight.
yeah, that's
Someplace else.
that's a whole nother,
Just don't know what he has to do.
Yeah.
yeah, that's a whole nother issue, and if he has to park it someplace else, it can't be in a residential zone.
They're just trying to figure this out.
I know.
Right.
I know.
What's in the truck?
Tools.
Tools? For auto repair?
For truck repair.
Truck repair?
Truck repair.
What kind of repair?
He's saying truck repair, I
Yeah,
think.
truck
Truck
So,
repair that
yeah,
you do there,
he's-
that
yeah.
you do at that site.
No, he goes on different site locations, mostly insulation trucks, which is diesel
So
trucks.
the trucks that are repaired there, who's are those? The guys, the vehicles that are parked there?
At 808,
Yeah.
so family owned.
Family.
Yeah, so it's one truck for him, a pickup truck for him, and a truck that he drives back and forth to work. One for my mom, one for my sister, and one for myself. That's 5 right there. And the people.
So
say
like
it's next
Ed
door.
was saying, that's a different issue.
That's a different ball, and okay, we're not gonna look at that. Please.
You know, there's another potential solution. Accessory apartments are permitted in the R2 zone, but then the occupants would have to be related to the owner of the property. Accessory apartments are allowed by right in the R2 zone, but the occupants have to be related to the owner.
Right.
So there's another solution there that may or may not lend itself to a solution.
There's also a maximum square footage for those. It's 650 square feet. I don't know what the size of the unit 2 is, or the unit 1. I don't know what the size of the units are, but I'm thinking that it's more than 650.
Unit 2 is 650 square feet.
I can't say for sure.
It's 2-bedroom, I know that.
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, that's telling, and if it's 2-bedroom with a kitchen, with a bathroom, with a living room, if there's even one more room involved, then you're coming close to the 650.
It might be Airbnb, recovery houses, would be an option.
All right. Before we start discussing anything, trying to come up with something, anybody else have anything to say? Anybody else from the general public want to say anything? Please, step up.
Auto detailing has been done on there. There's a ramp truck that brings cars in all the time. They've had a moppet, I don't know if you know what a moppet is.
Absolutely.
It goes in the back of a trailer, a forklift. I mean, for them to say they don't do it for anybody else.
Yeah.
The other weekend, all I heard was banging on steel and air guns going all Saturday. And for them to say they're working on a truck,
Mm-hmm.
they're working on a truck.
Can
What's
you?
the moppet?
It's an man lift. It's, you know what I'm talking about, four wheels, four-wheel drive with the bar, you know, with the, yeah. Can you guys speak to this? Because he's your neighbor, so he sees what's going on every day. And he's telling us that there's things going on there that shouldn't be going on in a residential zone.
Yes, so regarding the auto detailing business.
Yep.
We have a car wash and we have some car cleaning products. Once in a while, we wax our car or just car wash them. Our own cars. We don't charge ourselves or anything like that.
Okay.
Regarding the forklift that came in.
Yep.
So he bought a forklift out of, I don't know, Craigslist or something like that.
Yeah.
They delivered there. He took that to a friend's place. So he bought it for the guy that does installation, right? So he works on his truck. So he said he knew a guy that was selling a forklift. So he's friends with the owner of the installation company. He bought the forklift out of a friend for him.
Yeah.
So he delivered on his site, and then he just called a buddy of his that has a towing company that towed the forklift to his friend. Regarding the
banging.
The banging on the steel, I'm not sure what that is.
You guys are the direct neighbors. You would have heard all this.
But the only thing I can think of is, they used to have, like on the property where we moved in, there was a chicken coop.
Yep.
Like, it had a metal frame on it, and they had like some trouble with it. But since he bought it, they started taking that all down a few weeks ago. So there was
Okay.
like, they were using some pretty good equipment, I'd say.
Air
to take
hammers
the
and
frame
stuff to
down.
rip it all
And-
down.
Yeah, and then he had told us they were getting a dumpster, because they were starting to clean out all the junk that was kind
Mhm.
of there. You know, some of it, I think they inherited. But I didn't see, I mean, I'm out, because we have the garden, and
Yep.
we're out with the kids, and I haven't
We're
noticed
out every
any,
evening there, for the past year, you know what I mean?
like, and this isn't.
And you got no issues with him?
This isn't to try to.
You have no issues with him?
No, but that's the
Okay.
only thing I can
That's-
think of for noise, because they're
That's-
very quiet.
To be honest, it's like in front of me, left, right, couldn't ask for any better, that's all I have to say.
Yeah.
And I'd hate for them to go for somebody else to come in, that's all I have to say.
So, yeah, no, I understand. I understand.
But then that's the timing for what Mr. Manzella said, from my own recollection, I think it's when they were taking, I think what he's thinking of is when they were taking down this massive, like, chicken coop thing, 'cause they don't
Yeah.
have chickens there anymore.
So there could be reasonable explanations for what was going
Yeah, I
on.
haven't seen him work
We
on
all
any
hammer, like,
trucks.
it's like me, you know, when there's coops, like chicken coops,
Yep.
we don't have to hammer here.
And he was fixing the fence down the property line, because all the existing fence was all broken.
Mhm.
So when
No, I did a lot of work,
see quite a
really.
bit into their yard.
So you guys could have been making all the noise.
We could
We're
have-
flat out,
But
that's 2.28, you know, we're flat out working on that property, because we didn't have
that
it in a
property
lot
was a
of.
mess when we did it.
Yeah, because that property was in bad shape.
All right.
So to end it all, there's, reasonable explanation. for-
I can hear it. I can hear it. Number one, something that I didn't say at the beginning of this. You're all being recorded right now, so just so we're clear, all right? Everybody sees the camera, they see the microphone and stuff like that. So that's number one. Number two, anybody get any other questions?
Well, I don't have a question about the property specifically, but if, say it was approved, would it set a precedent that the town can be
Yep.
trapped into
Yep.
approving other people who could, say, play and cheat the
Yep.
system?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
that's what I don't want.
Okay, let's
Don't draw conclusions.
No, we're not drawing nothing, and we're not going to say anymore.
May I respond to that briefly?
Absolutely.
So, it's highly unlikely that someone is going to come before you that's in a zone that's already zoned for two-family, that's been subdivided pursuant to an A&R plan that says that you can't build, that this house now has to be a single family. If someone comes before you because they got a single family in a residential zone that's only for single family and says, hey, we got two family here, we want you to give us a variance for two family, that's a no all the time because you can't give use variances. So this is unusual, what we're asking tonight, because we're not asking for a use variance for two family.
But what about all the single families that are in a two-family, or in an R2? that don't have the square footage but want a second unit because it's allowed in the zone. We've had that happen. We've had
had
those,
that happen.
absolutely.
Then they
People have
might-
come
I
to
can
us.
allow that by right, providing that the square footage, parking, right, but I can provide that by right.
But what if they
But I
don't?
need square footage.
Yeah, you have to have the square footage. That's what we're looking at right now. That's the problem. We're
Land
gonna,
is unique, right, so you're gonna look at the circumstances of each case that comes before you.
Yeah.
Did the people, did they know they're in a single family, they've always been in a single family, now they wanna make a two-family? Right, whereas here, they've been in a two-family, always been in a two-family, moved in when it was a two-family, and bought it where it looked like a two-family. So I'm suggesting to you respectfully that the circumstances here are different.
No, I hear
Each one
you.
is different, so I don't think precedent to me is, it needs, you gotta look at each, land is unique, and you gotta look at each situation, on its own merits.
So just to clarify, you're suggesting that if there is any precedent, it would be decided by the result, not the circumstance?
It would be decided by the circumstances of each
Right.
situation, right?
So the mere fact, were this variance to be allowed to approve the two-family, unless somebody met similar or identical circumstances as your client, there would be no precedential value.
Exactly, or other circumstances that maybe.
that's
this
why I
board
need you
discussed.
on the board, right there.
Or other circumstances where this board says, you know what, this is unique, we haven't seen this before, and this makes sense to work with these folks.
And just so we're clear, the reason why I have that podium
I
is
know,
so
so
that
that
camera
you
can
can't
see me. I'm the best looking one in the room, man, come on.
And I'm probably being recorded.
No, of course you are. Listen, I don't want to keep beating this. I don't want to keep beating this, all right? We have enough that do you have enough information to be able to make a decision?
Yes.
I'm pulling the board.
I probably want to hear some deliberations.
Well, do you have enough information that we can deliberate?
Deliberate, yeah, I think so, yeah.
Public portion of the meeting if there's no new information.
Right, that's
Okay.
that's what I'm saying.
Okay, yes, then.
Gregor?
I'm fine.
All right, okay. I would entertain a motion at this point to close. Got a motion,
Second.
I would entertain a second, I got a second.
You want to see these pictures?
Do you want to submit them as evidence?
Just showing what I was saying.
Okay.
Make sure he sees them.
Yeah, obviously make sure that the attorney sees them too.
Yep, okay. Car carrier, bringing it in.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Absolutely, no, absolutely. Everybody, you want to stick your face over here? You know what you're looking at.
Yeah, you've seen
Car
it.
detailing going on.
When were these taken?
Yes, I would say so. If the applicant wants to approach
In the
this,
last
right?
year.
Yep.
Well, in the last year, I've had several conversations with the building inspector about, whatever activity may have been going on has ended.
I got two. I got,
They've had them, the big box trucks jacked up, wheels off, what burns my butt about what they're saying.
Do you have a picture of that, Mr. Manzel?
No, it was nosed in, but you can see it.
but I got another, is that a stake body?
Yeah. Can you see that? Yeah. There's a ramp truck right here bringing cars in.
A ramp truck bringing cars
Yeah,
in?
is this-
Okay.
is
this a tow truck?
No, that's a stake body truck. You can,
Yeah.
Oh, so this one was for the trash
Yeah.
on the site that he took it out to clean. This was. So this was for the chicken coop.
Yeah.
Because he sprayed with insulation the chicken coop, and you can drive up to the site. I don't know if we took all the trash out.
sprayed with insulation. Do you need a permit to spray insulation?
The chicken coop.
Not a
Yeah.
chicken, not in, it's not
You need to go to the Board of Health to have chickens, but you don't need to have a.
Are we, don't, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that.
Which is gone. The chicken coop.
Okay, chicken coop is gone.
Yep. So this.
They had it all roped off when they did that. They had it all, they had the monkey suits on and all that.
Okay, this is what this is, there's probably an explanation for everything that we see in this picture. All right, and there's probably an explanation. Do you want to look at these anymore?
no, I just
All
want
right.
to say that this isn't really before you tonight.
There's probably an explanation. Here, let's give these back to the, do you want us to keep these for the file?
Keep in the file.
All right, All right, these are for us. Deb, we're gonna keep these in the file.
That one goes to running a business at the property as opposed to what we're asking for.
And that's why
That's not a problem.
It's not what's before the board tonight.
You have to put one
Chairman,
down.
Mr. Chairman, on the floor.
guys, I have a motion on the floor.
Second.
All right, I got a motion. I think I already had a second with Mr. Galley.
Oh, sorry.
All right, all in favor? All right, let me read the thing here. Open the hearing now. Okay, the board, Attorney Valenzola, the board will deliberate tonight, and you're welcome to stay. You're all welcome to stay. You'll receive a decision in the mail with a date stamp, 21 days from the date stamp on the decision. Go to the town clerk's office, request a certificate of no appeal. If no one has appealed, the town clerk will give you a certification and a copy of the original decision. Take those to the registry of deeds and have them recorded. One of the conditions is always to show the building department proof of recording. And I have to say, you smell awesome. You came up, yeah, I don't know what you're wearing, but that was,
Hey, no dates. Dates.
all right, that's both of them, all right? I request a 5-minute bathroom break. Does everybody deal with that?
Yeah, do we have to second it?
No,
Okay, then.
no.
No, only point one.
All right, let's do our thing here.
That's fine, take it both.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry, I brought them.
Interesting, you never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
My opinion is if he had a realtor representing them, she would have gone to the building department to transfer those funds.
But most of the closings that did were in the greater Brockton area and multiple dwellings versus the single family. It was probably 5-1 in favor.
Right.
And we never went to City Hall
Yeah,
unless it was, something really obvious.
right. You know, it was a tricky one, because it was a two-family for years.
How about this guy now?
Well, that's the thing, I mean, yeah.
It looks a little tall to me.
That's what brings the neighbors out.
That's my neighbor.
Oh, really?
I put a whole bit on Market Street going towards the animal line. But I'm further into here,
I saw you.
9 or 10 houses in.
Oh.
And they're just right there.
On 139,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, when did chickens become a big thing?
No, but I see them all over the place. Everybody's got them now.
Neighbors
Seems
across the
like-
street, they have 17 of them,
Wow.
and I never knew they had them.
Wow.
They must be very quiet chickens.
I guess so. I think it's the roosters that make the noise. Yeah. They are really popular these days.
We're gonna sort out, we're gonna sort out the food truck situation. Food trucks are just everywhere. There's catering, well, I think he's too busy with his catering business. Don't they have the drive-in place in Rockville? Oh, yeah, they sold that? I think so. Used to drive in, and they go to the car right up.
Greg, could you sign this for me and replace the second line?
I went to a,
Sure.
no, he was an own restaurant.
Thank you.
He catered a party though, for the Holly from New Marshfield, and I saw him at the. How long?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Assume they would place it on. Deb, you should take those photographs and keep them as a.
I will. I'll take
next meeting we have really for anything would be August 16th, because I'm assuming August 2nd is going to be.
That's gonna be by Zoom, just so you know, and then August 16th will be here.
Okay.
And then after
Yeah.
that, through next March will be Zoom.
Oh, we go, oh, they,
Yeah, the governor signed
extended
the
it.
bill on Saturday.
oh.
What are you doing? What are you doing, Pete? What is that?
Taking notes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I did pull it up, you're right, 28,937.
There it is.
I was trying to pull it up earlier.
Oh, did you see the white circle?
Yeah.
I always forget about that on this table.
What takes that out, toothpaste?
I have no idea.
Oh, excellent, thank you so much.
Wow.
All right, we got everybody?
Yep.
We got everybody. All right.
We're gonna continue on,
Yeah, let's, we're almost done with that, I think. Is that still up there?
Yeah, we're on number 24.
All right, number 24, shall be striped, okay. We were gonna refer to the plan on that one, right? Spaces, the parking lot shall be striped in accordance with, keep it
the
simple.
parking lot striping plan dated 8/16/13.
Did you catch that? So that's gonna basically take out of most of everything in 24. There shall be no other, okay, this is where we were talking about. There shall be no other vehicles parked and/or stored on the site temporarily.
Can we take temporarily out?
Yeah.
Theoretically, if you leave temporarily in, they could store them permanently. It'd be in compliance.
There shall be no other vehicles
Yeah.
parked and/or stored on the site, including boats, recreational vehicles, what else? Heavy equipment,
Boats,
that said that.
RVs, campers, ATVs.
Yeah, that's all right,
You
that
can
all
just copy
covers.
the language from whatever paragraph that was.
Did we have a paragraph?
No,
Oh, I thought we listed, because
I felt like we did.
we
too,
did
but-
boats and recreational vehicles and then a whole bunch of other stuff.
oh, number 5.
Number 5?
Want me to go back to 5?
Yeah, let me see
We were gonna
5.
add to it.
There shall be no trucks with more than 4 wheels, trailers, tractor trailers, or cabs stored on the property at any given time. That takes care of anything bigger than the 12,000 GVW.
Right.
You allowed for 6 wheels
But
or
we're
something like
gonna,
that,
we're
didn't you?
gonna change the 4 to 6 wheels.
Yeah, we're gonna change the
the
4, yeah, we're
one-ton
gonna change.
pickups.
Number 5, change to as is with 6 wheels.
Right.
Then,
6 wheels, right.
But then boats, RVs, ATVs.
I think if we leave that as is,
Right.
and then go down to the 24, and, because it.
Oh, yeah,
it-
okay, that's fine.
It
yeah.
gives you, it
Right.
gives a clear separation between the fact that, yeah, you can't park anything bigger than that, but you also can't park, again, boats, recreational vehicles, heavy equipment,
Trailers,
trailers,
ATVs.
falls under recreational
Okay.
equipment. I would assume that it falls, I would look at it and say that it falls under that.
Motorcycles and all that would be,
Recreational,
well, it's not necessary.
not necessarily, no, you're right.
Okay.
You're right. So put motorcycles,
What number?
this is
25.
all 25.
Okay.
Well, 25.
There shall be no other vehicles parked and or stored on the site, inclusive, but not, inclusive of boats, recreational vehicles, heavy equipment, trailers,
Motorcycle.
motorcycles, and
What about those little
what?
Vespa things they're selling now?
Oh, those are the motor scooters?
Yeah, the motor scooters,
Motor scooters, mopeds,
yeah, mopeds, that stuff.
what else? Mr. Rubel,
What's that?
is there anything else, does that cover it? Does that list?
It's just saying what is allowed?
Not allowed.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm asking.
Yeah.
You know, would it be easier to say what is allowed as opposed to what's not allowed? Okay. The only, number 25, the only vehicles that shall be parked on site are employee vehicles, cars for sale,
No, how about it? There shall be no other vehicles parked other than for sale or repairs.
and customers,
Hmm?
and employees,
And employees
and customers.
and customers.
So it's four, so that's
But
4 things.
that means nothing else can be on that property except for cars for sales,
Yep,
repairs,
Yep.
employees,
Yep.
or customers.
Got a
Okay.
question. The cars for sale, does the license that allow them to sell cars restrict the size and type of car and truck? Like, for some reason, would they
Yes.
actually be allowed to sell a dump truck even though they're not supposed to have one parked there?
they
Under-
can buy it, but they can't park it on site.
Yeah.
Under 12,000 GBWs.
Okay. 'Cause I was just thinking when you say it only cars for sale, employees and repair cars, I would think that would cover, if the license only allows them to have certain size vehicles, that would cover it without having to worry about listing everything
Listing
we
it?
restrict.
Now, again, not knowing what the Class 2 actually gives them the
Yep.
ability to buy.
Yeah.
If it does give them the ability to buy, let's say,
Okay.
A triaxle.
Yeah.
Or something big, giant like that.
Okay. Yeah, since we
That-
don't know. we should-
I'd
Good.
rather be a little bit more strict on it
Good.
than, you know what I mean?
Right, if we knew it excluded, then I would say that we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, so.
All right, that's good.
Attorney Galvin, does that make sense? Okay.
If you want to draw the distinction between parking and storing, because I assume the intention is that nothing be stored there,
Long-term storage.
any term storage.
Okay. Let me throw a scenario out.
Okay.
I've got a 1993 Geo Tracker. I need him to replace the transmission. You know where you're getting the transmission from?
Not a clue.
Japan.
All right.
If it even
But
exists.
that's not being stored, it's awaiting repairs.
What if they haven't started the repairs yet?
It's still waiting for repairs.
Yes?
As long as you've got a written
Okay.
repair order.
Store means it's just there.
All right.
Rather than being
I'm
somewhere
trying to play
else.
the devil's
I
advocate,
know.
you know what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
I do.
Okay, all right, all right. All right,
As long
so,
as if Tom had to go down there and look,
Yep.
and he says, okay, that car there, it's in, what's it doing here?
okay,
And he says, I got a repair order I'm waiting for a transmission,
okay.
it's a customer's car.
Does that work, Tom? Yes?
So if he had 6 cars there for repair, but, you know, 24 for a sale, would that violate his,
No.
that wouldn't violate it?
No?
Okay.
Okay, I like that. All right, that gives me a little bit, so no long-term storage.
No storage.
Okay,
Is it parking for customers?
under the,
Yes.
yep, CP3, I
C2
think?
and 3.
Yeah, HC1, CP1, CP2, CP3,
What is
Yeah,
it?
customer parking, yeah.
4.
4?
4 customer.
Employee spaces.
Yeah.
No, I'm just talking for customers, because we had mentioned that all cars parked at the site had to be in a parking spot.
Yep,
You know, if you get more than 2 customers,
It was 4 spaces.
you can't park in the handicap.
technically. It's, again, you know, it's really gonna come down
You
to
got 3 spaces.
counting the cars, because based on this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right off the bat, have to be registered. All right, that's the employee parking and the customer through the handicap. From there, R1, R2, R3, R4, R5 should also be registered, because those are customers' cars that they're repairing. That's the way that I'm reading this. That's the way that I'm reading this. And then when it comes to D1 through D25, those are the unregistered vehicles for sale.
So he has a class 2 license. 25 cars.
Yes. Mr. Andrade, am I reading that right? Okay.
The, no, I can't ask him anyway.
What was the question?
The repair spaces.
Yep.
You said they have to be registered.
That's people that's,
Some repair shops do repairs to cars for other used car lots that don't have repair.
I understand. We were dealing with
And
that
there's
with,
no-
what's his face up the street.
Right. and
I
there's
know.
no- they may not be registered,
Not a problem.
or would they have to have a dealer plate?
They would have to have a dealer plate. If it doesn't have a dealer plate, because that's what the Class 2 does. It gives you the ability to get said dealer plate, doesn't it?
Right.
Okay.
Repair.
Or a repair plate.
Right.
All right. So basically, R1 through R5 is 5, and I said the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is 11. That's 11 cars on that site have to have some sort of registration, some sort of plate on them. Absolutely. The other 25, those are the unregistered. All right, so we're clear on that. Everybody's cool? Yes, everybody's cool? Does that say that we need to keep 24 as is? That's the problem. We were looking at modifying 24 and the language in 24.
Do the spaces have to be numbered?
That's the problem. They don't. Not on the plan they were, but not on the ground. Because unfortunately, what that does is it technically forces Mr. Rubel to have to go and see where all these cars are
Yeah.
parked, which
Right.
makes absolutely no sense. As
Yeah.
long as 11 of only 11 of the cars, no more than 11 cars,
Yeah.
do not have a plate on them. Keep the numbering simple. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Shall be numbered as follows. Repair spaces shall be numbered. It doesn't say on there that it has to be striped that way. It doesn't say on there anywhere that I see that it has to be painted on the ground. Does everybody agree with that?
But it
Okay.
is.
Well, it does say it on the first line that it has to be spaces
Shall be
numbered.
numbered as follows.
Numbered and
It is.
shown, well, no, striped and spaces numbered as, the parking lot shall be striped. And spaces numbered as shown on revised plan dated, and filed with, it doesn't say it. It says that the parking lot shall be striped. Well,
How about spaces numbered on revised plan?
Mr. Chairman.
But not
Yes, please.
as shown on
What you see
revised
there
plan.
is done. Those spaces are marked.
are they even numbered that way?
They're numbered in letters.
Oh, you're
Somebody
kidding
is on
me.
that condition.
Oh, the
Oh, it's
reason-
already done?
All right, if it's already done, then it's already done.
Mr. Chairman,
Move on.
if I may offer a
Yep.
clarification, one of the reasons why we went through this exercise, as
Mhm.
I recall, is because the dealership was saying, oh, you know, that's a customer car or
Yeah.
a dealer car.
Yep.
You know, and clearly it was just a way that they were trying to get around. They were in violation of their permit. They were selling more cars than
More
they
cars
should.
than they had,
And they
okay.
were saying, well, you know, that's not a car for sale, that's the dealer's car, that's a customer's car, or it's a repair car, or whatever.
I'm still not gonna put it in Mr. Rubel's hands to make sure that a dealer car is not parked in an employee space. As long as there are no more than 11 cars on that spot, on that site.
It was supposed to help them. It was supposed to, if there's a D in front of this parking space and there was a plate on the car, or if there was a car without a plate and it wasn't parked in a spot with a D on it, then he exceeded his.
I hear you.
That's
I
what
hear you.
that's what.
He's got a
the,
point. How do you
is to
see this?
facilitate
If he's
that.
already got it, number 24 should stay as is, correct?
Any car unoperable or unregistered.
Yep.
I count as a class 2.
Okay.
And if it's not in one of those spots, then he's
Gives him a
exceeded
fine.
his,
Okay.
his permit. I mean, that's
All
just
right.
an easy way for you to
That's right.
check.
All
and
right, so leave
okay.
24 as is? Would you prefer to leave 24 as is,
Yeah,
Mr.
it's already
Rubel?
done like
All
that.
right, so 24, leave it as
Yeah.
is. After all that, there shall be no other vehicles parked or stored on site, inclusive of the list that we just gave. Cars shall not be displayed on jack stands or on rear all wheels thing. Yep. The asphalt on the west side of the garage shall be marked with the wording "no parking," with a minimum of 1 foot in height lettering. Tom,
Yep,
it's there.
yep.
Keep moving. Too far. Snow removal in the event of a large snowstorm, there shall be no piling of snow, and snow is removed from parking spaces, except snow shall be removed in 24 hours of the completion of the snow event for small stuff. I don't think that's an issue.
No.
Everybody happy?
Yeah.
There shall be an exit-only sign on the right side of the driveway opening located on the west side. Sign shall face forward, da-da-da-da-da. Mr. Rubel, is that there?
If you got arrows also.
They also put arrows. You went above. Sign shall be on the right, we'll leave that as is. Railroad ties or the like that are used as part of the landscape buffer shall not be used as tire stops. Separate reinforced concrete tire stops. Can we change that to, he put the rubber ones in, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can we change, separate reinforced, I think they're recycled rubber tire stops shall be provided. Deb, I'm talking like not towards you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Commercially made recycled rubber tire stops shall be permanently installed using, shall be permanently installed, and just live with that.
You have to say and maintained? I don't know, do those things work?
Yeah, but well, here's the other question. You can do them temporarily, because when you go to plow the parking lot, don't you want to take them up?
I don't know if they can take, they got the spikes in it, to be honest with you, I don't know if they're 24 inches long, and I don't even know if they're a number 5 rebar.
But are they permanent?
5 rebar, be 5/8 rebar. Can you take those out?
Yeah, that is what you suggested because of the snow.
Snow, that's what we said at one of.
All right, okay, so
They're all
basically, the tire shop permanently installed using that, there shall be a minimum of 2 tire stop shall be at least 2 feet off the buffer zone. Tire stops shall be allowed to be removed during snow events, because it doesn't say it in there,
Yeah,
saying,
I don't know, you can do that, but I don't know what you're gonna get out of it, because the spikes are still there.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, they did it before, move it.
But the spikes are still there.
No, you suggested
Spikes
not to
do.
put this spot,
Yeah.
because it's not gonna be removable, then it's gonna connect the tires. You're just putting it there, basically.
So they're not permanently installed. They're not
Spike it, you can spike it.
They're not spiked into the ground. They are spiked into the ground, but you can remove the whole thing with the spikes in it, blah, blah, blah. So again, tire stop shall be 2 feet off the buffer zone. Tire stops shall be,
Can be,
can be removed during snow events.
snow removal.
Okay.
And must be reinstalled within 12 hours after snow removal.
Did you catch that, Deb?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 31, there shall
Are they
be.
supposed to be rubber?
That's what he installed, and the thing is that
That's fine.
they're cheaper for the applicant, and that's number one. Number two, they're easier to move around when it does come to snow events.
And how many hours after?
12 hours.
Number 31, there shall be no additional asphalt added to the site without approval from the ZBA, that's fine. No event shall any part of a vehicle be within or overhang the buffer zone, okay? Parking spaces with the exception of the handicap space shall be 10 by 20, there shall be no stacking. There shall be no stacking with parked vehicles. I'm assuming that Tom's already looked at it, he's happy with it, we're gonna keep that in there more specifically because of the stacking of the vehicles. Vegetated grass buffers shall be installed by September. Vegetated grass buffers, Tom, you said those were there, yes?
They have, they have one, but then they have the flower pots on the west side.
How do we say it? Because we're not saying, we didn't know in here, nothing in here says about the flower pots. We've got to make sure that it's in
On the
there.
west side and they're on the front,
They're on the west side and the front?
right?
Yes.
So just, you put and
Yeah,
or
that's type of
plantings
play.
shall be,
Okay, so vegetated grass buffers
and or
and/or
planters
planters shall be installed, shall be maintained.
shall be maintained.
Yep.
Applicant slash,
Should we give them, say like, from November 15th to April 1st, for those to be stored to the rear of the property during the winter season?
he's got a point. He's got a point, that way they don't have to keep going back, putting them in, and then 2 days later it snows, then,
They're moving back and forth.
yeah, no, he's got a point.
To the fall.
You've got a point. There shall be no stacking, vegetated shall be installed, shall be maintained. Planters can be removed during the,
November 15th to April 1st. For winter storage.
for winter storage. Does that work? Yes? Everybody happy? Yes? Applicant must provide his tenant, applicant slash owner must provide his tenant, this doesn't work. Applicant must provide the owner of the property with a copy of the recorded decision regarding the special permit with the list of conditions when signing a lease with the owner of the property. You already signed a lease, didn't you?
Just leave it alone.
Let's leave it alone. Any change in manager slash tenant shall meet any change in zoning enforcement officer so that they may be.
Well, can we change the spelling of manager, because right now it's referring to a nativity
Major.
scene.
Nice. If that's the only thing that needs to be changed on that.
37, there should be no storage of both campers, RVs, or the like.
See, us past zoning board members kind of knew what we were doing. So again, if 37 and I think 25 was the one that we were talking about.
Yeah.
If 37 and 25 can be combined to make one and then get rid of the other one, applicant shall comply with the conditions of other boards and commissions. That's fine. The decision along with a copy of the site plan must be recorded with the registry of deeds, and proof of recording must be provided to the building department prior to obtaining an occupancy permit. Here's the problem, that plan is not, you can't record that plan with the registry of deeds. It does not meet recording standards. So,
What it is, the sketch plan. What is the sketch plan?
not on the 24 by 36.
Record sketch plans all the time with the easements.
As a copy of, okay, all right. But it would have to, there would have to be a reduced size copy that goes along with it. Let them figure it out. Okay. All right, now we're talking about us. I don't care about us.
Those were all the conditions.
So 40 is, Deb, you got them?
Yeah.
Happy?
Yeah.
Board?
Yep.
Happy? Everybody good?
Yeah, one thing about the removing of the plants from November 15th to April 15th.
Yep.
I hope it's clear that that doesn't mean you can use it to store cars during that period of time.
Right.
You know, just because the vegetation is gone doesn't mean it's, cars can be stored there. Because the last guy put cars all up and
Yeah, he
down
did.
on the left-hand side.
Yeah, you did.
What was the
But I
rule
think
about parking
there
before?
are two things that would mitigate against that. One, you got language saying nothing can be stored there.
Yep.
And two, everything has to be in a marked space.
And it also says that there's no parking in buffer zones.
Do we want to have them come back and visit us in a year or 6 months just to?
I thought that was in there. I thought we had that.
I'm
We
sure
have that in there?
something changes.
Yeah.
I'm not happy, he's gonna.
Oh,
Yeah, it was already in there that they would have to come back.
Okay.
If something changes, not a review. I don't think there's something in there
Oh,
for
I'm
a
talking about a
review.
review,
Okay, you're talking about a review.
because I know this
I
has
think you ought
a,
to just let Mr. Bergman enforce the decision.
And just let it go from there? All right, so 40
Don't
conditions.
put any cars where the plan is up in the fall.
Yeah.
This is a lot of conditions.
No. Well, maybe this is the reason why they didn't, they didn't comply with them the last time.
oh, yeah.
All right, so we've got conditions. It's probably gonna be less than 40, because I think we're gonna combine, I think it was 25 and 37, so whatever it is, we've all gone over them. Everybody happy?
Yes.
Happy? Yes? I would entertain a motion to approve with conditions.
Yep, I'll make a motion, approve with conditions.
I got a motion?
Second the motion?
I got a second right there. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
All right?
All right.
Congratulations. What kind of time do we have to issue this? Yeah.
Should be issued within 14 days.
Okay, so issued within 14 days, has to be to, Deb, I know you'll figure that out. And we'll have it on the calendar, we'll make it happen, not a big deal. All right, that's it. Congratulations. within 14 days, the decision will be filed with the town clerk. 21 days after that, assuming nobody's appealed it, pick it up, record it with the registry of deeds, bring that copy to him, and give a copy to the landlord. That way, everybody has a copy of it, and keep a copy for yourself. Good luck. Good luck, all right? It's obvious that things have changed over there. It's obvious. I've driven by, I drive by there every day. It is obvious that someone wasn't paying attention during the time that you were dealing with your family. We all understand that. We all appreciate that. Thank you for making it right. All right, next one. I'm not even gonna think about starting to talk about this one. I want somebody else to start talking about it, please.
Want me to start?
You talk about whatever you need to, whatever you think is necessary about this Market Street property.
All right, well, when I first read this and reviewed it, it just blared to me self-inflicted hardship.
Self-imposed hardship.
There is the infectious invalidity of the person on the lot that was created in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And as a zoning board, we are not here to create a hardship, we are here to be a zoning board. One of the issues of the zoning board is, or charges of the zoning board, is to uphold the bylaws and to prevent things from getting out of control. The applicant has to come back before this board because of trucks, a box truck. We've seen evidence that there was a picket truck. There was at least one box truck, maybe two. There was a flatbed trailer delivering a truck to the site. I find it very difficult to believe that that was all owned by the residents, but what I saw out there, I saw things getting out of control. The zoning board and zoning laws are there to regulate so that noxious uses do not happen, especially in residential areas. There's also the precedent issue. I feel bad for every applicant that we say no to. But as a board, there are times when you do have to just say, I'm sorry, but for the good of the town, we've got to uphold the law. If we see that there just isn't an avenue to support the variance criteria, we have to do that. We have to do our jobs. And the job of being on the zoning board is not always a pleasant job. But, you know, you can't make decisions based on feeling bad for, you know, a bad situation. I mean, if you want to feel bad for somebody, feel bad for somebody who's strapped with the infectious invalidity burden. So, you know, that's my spiel. That's all I have.
Next. Come on, Mr. Bacon Senior. You're always verbose on
One of
these
the big
things. Let's do
things
this.
is the lot, a two-family requires 65,340 square feet. It's almost 25,000 square feet less than the requirement. Would someone create that problem? And the planning board, when they did the version of it, they told the owners of the property that it was gonna have to be a single-family home. And over the years, it's been converted to a two-family. That's not the town's problem. Unfortunately, you know, and I feel bad that the owners now are stuck between a rock and a hard place. But we have to, like Greg said, start saying enough is enough with these lots. Because if we don't, the guy next door could say, hey, I'm gonna put an addition on the back of the house and turn it into a two-family, and come to the zoning board and say, oh, I didn't know I can't do that. You know, they want a variance for it. The town's getting built out, and people are sticking houses. It looks like they're dropping them from helicopters in some of these places. There's one up on Liberty Street they just built out back. And it's got a narrow, looks like it's got the frontage, but it's out back everybody else's house.
Not to mention the Concord Street debacle.
Right. Up my way, I mean, there's a lot that's on ledge, and they're building 4 units, I think it's 4. 7? 7 units on Dyer Street, and it's, you know, and it got cleared right to the property lines of the people on Rice Ave. They have no privacy in their backyard. So we gotta
Not
start
anymore.
looking at these and not let our emotions get the best of them.
True.
Absolutely.
Mr. Rubel, when was the last, prior to this new owner, prior to him coming to you and saying, hey, and you turning around and saying to him, hey, there's a problem here. Prior to that, do you remember when the last kind of communication you had was with anybody over there saying, hey, this is supposed to be a single family?
I think I met you when we first moved in there. I told you to get a lawyer, and you got, that was, what, 2 years ago?
That was a year ago when you bought the property.
Yeah, I think when we first bought it, I had mentioned it.
Okay, let me just explore this a little. Did you talk to, I can't talk to you.
I think I talked to the son, and you got dad.
Under what circumstances?
Dad, this is a, can't be a two-family.
Did you go to them or did they go to you? Were they coming to you for something?
They went to me saying that they were new owners.
Okay.
They were new owners. I said, we got issues.
I think you had mentioned before that it was in relation to a building permit.
That's what I'm trying to get at. I'm trying to
Or
admit,
somebody had said that, I'm not sure who it was.
whoever, I want to know who instigated the communication with you. So it was the applicant?
Did you guys come to the building department before I went to your house?
We can't talk, we can't do that.
I can't remember.
Okay.
Did they get a building permit for the solar panels?
There was solar panels, they got a building permit. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
I'm just trying to figure it out.
Again, what I'm trying to figure out is how that, how that communication happened, because I know you did. I know that happened. It's just a matter of when this happened. Had they already owned the property for a little while, or was it
Not that long.
not that long? Okay. All right. So they didn't own the property for that long, and then you had a communication when it said, hey, guys, you got a problem here.
This has been since day one.
Oh, I know. Oh, no.
Since the new house was being built.
Oh, I know. I'm trying to establish where they came into play and how they found out that this was an issue. Because it's obvious that they didn't know when they bought it. It's obvious. It's not the board's fault that they didn't have any kind of legal representation that would have looked into this prior to purchasing.
Language barrier, that it might have taken a little bit longer to get in touch with council, but they did what I asked them to do. Get yourself a lawyer. They got a lawyer.
Okay.
And that's where we are.
I got a
It might
question.
take a little bit longer than normal because of the language.
No, I understand that. I'm trying to figure out how long they've owned the property and knew that it was an issue prior to buying basically, what's the time period between we own this property and holy crap, there's a problem?
I think it wasn't that long.
We're not supposed to talk to each other. We can't talk to each other, all right? We can only talk this side of the table. Because again, please talk.
Just curious, at any time did the town of Rockland or any department, like, approve, like, an invalid use of the land to make it a two-family?
No,
Like,
because-
invalid, like,
Did they invalidate the two-family?
did they ever at some
It was
point?
allowed by right when it had enough acreage.
Okay, so.
There was no notification. If this is gonna answer your question,
Okay,
when the A&R happened,
yeah,
these guys weren't involved yet,
right.
all right? When the A&R happened, it was all discussed, and everybody said, yep, it's gotta be a single family, yep, it's gotta be a single family. Okay, we all know that it's gotta be a single family, but nobody went up to the assessing department to say, hey, guys, this has gotta be this has gotta be a single family now. The applicant did it, nobody from the town did.
Yeah.
There was a ball dropped, all right? But I don't think we had to. I don't think any of them had to have a communication, but there was a ball dropped, all right? In the grand scheme of things, it is that applicant's fault.
Yes.
He's the one who did not do this.
Okay.
On the flip side, should there have been a communication
Yeah.
within the municipality to say, hey,
Rob,
hindsight is 20/20.
the town didn't do anything wrong here.
I know they didn't. I absolutely know they didn't. But on the flip side, wouldn't it have been nice if there was communication? Wouldn't it have been nice?
But did they approve a two-family home?
I don't think any of this.
Right, that's my point.
Check the assessor's card.
I've done all that. It says two family.
The assessor's card said single family.
When?
Can I tell you something? None of this is relevant to anything, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
This is not relevant.
The current field card says that it's a single family. Deb, can you pull that up, please?
Well, the other reason why I ask is if there was
No.
a document that ever said it was approved as a single family, I would think someone could have said, look, I've got this document that says it's a two-family.
It's always
Wouldn't they-
been. That's the problem. I think based on what we've heard, it was converted to a two-family.
Yeah.
Whether it was legal or not,
Right.
I'm not arguing that.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing that.
Yeah.
But knowing that after the redivision, the applicant somebody should have notified
Yeah.
the assessing department as to whether it was a,
Their information from the registry of deeds, if there's nothing there on the registry, they don't change it.
well, that's my point. That's why I want to see, I'm pretty sure it still says two-family.
Upper right-hand corner.
Upper right-hand corner, where am I turning?
Right here, right where the cursor is.
Whoa. That was changed. When was that changed? That's the assessor's field card.
12/7/21?
2016.
Okay. Is that a print date? December 7th, 2021? Or is that like?
Photo was back in 2016.
So in 2020.
Yeah, photo, yeah.
Something in the registry of deeds must have updated that said that was a single family. And then,
Somebody updated it. It's just a matter of when it got
got
updated.
I would imagine the assessors department.
You're 100%
updated it.
right. You're 100% right.
That was done when we did, and when we changed and made that new house and built a new house. I believe I went to the assessor and says that house now is.
That's what I was looking for. That's what I've been looking for the whole time. You did do that. All right.
So there was communication.
There was communication, exactly what I said. There was communication. This has been, apparently it's been on the field
It
card.
says right there, description, single family.
That's my point. So it's on the field card.
Yep.
Typically, and again, I know there's a I know this kind of transpired, not normally, but typically when there's a realtor involved, the realtor is going to the assessing department getting this information. When there's a bank involved, they require this information. I don't know what to do here. I mean, with the town has everything correct at this point. So I was hoping maybe there was a defect on that, but there's not. We actually did it right. So somebody help me here.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Please.
And my position or my feeling on this is, it's actually quite a bit different than my colleagues on the board. We've spent the last few minutes talking about whether or not the town did something wrong, whether they were remiss in something. And at least based on that, it appears that they were not.
No, that's...
But that doesn't counter the fact that the applicant certainly did
Didn't do
nothing
it.
wrong.
I agree with you.
I mean, he is under no obligation in purchasing real estate to hire a realtor who
True,
may have looked at that.
true.
And I don't think it's unreasonable for a purchaser, even though very clearly, and they signed this at the closing, an acknowledgement that the bank's lawyer is not acting in their interest, but I don't think it's unreasonable for a buyer to take as fact a representation by the lender
Mhm.
that it is a two-family.
Yep.
Everything about the building,
Mm-hmm.
the meters, the apartments, his own experience living there as a tenant,
Oh, it's a two-family.
told him it was a two-family.
Oh, I'm not arguing that. I am not arguing that by any means,
But I think what it does indicate is that, and I think it was Mr. Tanzi who said that this is something that was self-inflicted. And I think in a broad sense, it may have been that there were things that a more seasoned buyer of real estate, an investor, may have done to prevent this from happening. But that's not the gentleman who's before us tonight.
No, I
And
agree
it's not
with
the
you.
99% of people who would be asking for something like this. This is something that essentially was done to
To
him.
them.
I also disagree with the notion, and I've said this before when we talked about precedent, that this doesn't set a precedent unless there is some really unlikely, extraordinarily unlikely circumstance, almost identical in
Similar.
fact to this,
Yep.
that would then hold us to the same result. I don't think the example that Mr. Baker gave is something that we would be trapped into by someone who intentionally does something
Mhm.
without seeking permission and then
Mhm.
seeks relief.
Mhm.
That's not what this gentleman did. Based on that, I would, well, I guess it's kind of obvious,
I hear you.
be in favor of granting the variance.
Can I check it? Can I check your opinion? Attorney Galvin,
Yes.
do you agree with Mr. Baker Jr.? That this is not, if this
It's
were
not a minor-
granted,
It's not a minor deviation.
would this set
I don't
precedent?
think that my personal opinion is, this family sounds like they're innocent in terms
Take it.
of what they knew.
Yep.
You know, unfortunately, it's a personal financial hardship. It's
Yep.
not a hardship relating to the soil shape or topography
Yep.
of the lot, which I think is the problem.
Is this going to set precedent?
We all like to believe that it never does.
I'm trying to get him to say yes or no. It's not going to happen.
All
I'm
somebody
gonna tell
has,
you right now, I just had a case from the Lane Court in Marshfield.
Mhm.
And the judge used the fact that variances have been granted in another circumstance.
The judge used that?
The judge used it.
Okay. And so the judge used that.
But I agree with Attorney Valenzola, typically, they're supposed to stand on its own circumstances. They're not supposed to be of precedential effect. But I've seen it done notwithstanding.
Would a judge base it on just the town's decisions or the region?
That's a good question.
Look, variances is supposed to be granted in rare and unusual circumstances.
Right.
And only where all of the elements of a variance can be established. I think you heard quite accurately, there's probably been very few cases, if any, that have ever met the very exacting standard. Okay. I think there are certainly aspects of what this applicant brings to bear that may qualify for some aspects of it, but this is, the board has to determine, are there circumstances relating to the soil, shape, and the topography of the lot that result in some type of a hardship? Okay, and that hardship has to be connected to those circumstances. And, it's up to you to decide that, not me. A personal financial hardship is not a type of hardship that typically results in the granting of a variance, but I think my experience has been that's oftentimes what boards rely on anyways. Then you have to determine that, the granting of the variance will not, substantially derogate from the spirit and intent of the bylaw or, result in a special privilege to this applicant here. And you have those hurdles as well. Those are your criteria you need to consider.
so anybody can say, well, I didn't know.
But in
Give them a
doing that,
variance.
but in doing that, they'd have to be, shall we say, somewhat persuasive. And I think, at least from my perspective, what we've heard tonight, the applicant
But-
and council have been persuasive.
They also could come in and say, well, it meets everything, but the hardship is, I'm gonna lose money. And then we feel bad for them,
No, I understand.
This is,
You know, a more typical variance case is, I have to build the house or the addition closer to the lot line because I've got, you know, a
Giant
ledge-
knob of ledge, yep.
Ledge on the other side.
Yep.
Um,
That's the easy ones, though.
You know, this is missing 25,000 square feet of the required area to have a two-family, by right. If it had it, you wouldn't even have it roll here.
Mm.
You know, it's a significant deviation. It's not a de minimis.
No.
It's not missing 100 square feet or 500 square feet of 60,000 square feet. It's a significant.
No, it is, it's substantial, I agree.
Mhm.
But I think, what I'm trying to do is weigh, if you'll forgive the redundancy, the weight of the lack of size with the consequence that's going to befall these folks. And what is more in line, perhaps not with the letter of the bylaw, but with the spirit of it.
I know it doesn't apply here. I know it doesn't apply here. I know it doesn't apply here. But it's been in existence for 10 years or greater. I know there's been, the zoning violation has been in existence for greater than 10 years. I know there's been communication with the building inspector since day one that this has got to change, this has got to change, this has got to change, this has got to change. So that negates the whole 10
Zoning
foot.
viola- I don't know that you know that.
What?
The zoning violation is not probably been in existence for 10 years. The zoning violation occurred when the second lot was transferred and the house was built. That's when it became a violation.
In 2010. It's
The
2000.
second house
Yeah.
has been in existence since 2010.
You would know better than I.
Any evidence?
Actually, it's 816. Is that the next door neighbor?
I don't think you respectfully have any evidence of when that second house was built.
Can you pull up for 816 Market Street? That'll have the year built on it.
It's 814.
well, wouldn't it be when the Form A lot got
No.
conveyed?
It's when it's divided and the second house is built.
The second the house was built.
But what if the lot was conveyed? Because two lots held in common ownership combined,
It could be.
if there's,
It was built, this house was built in 2018.
Really? I thought it was way before that.
It was.
Usually it says year built. Where is?
I'm telling you, it says 2018.
Where?
Left-hand corner,
Left hand, upper or lower?
year built, building. Year built,
All right,
2018.
2018. All right, so it hasn't been 10 years or greater.
Correct.
Okay. I thought it was way earlier than that. I thought that house was built way earlier than that.
4 years ago?
but
That
that
doesn't
house.
seem right.
How is that house non-conforming? It's on,
No.
It's non-conforming because it was unlawfully divided
Yep.
without the other house having its.
That's the
second
infectious
family
blah, blah.
eliminated.
shouldn't the two-family,
They're both in violation.
They're technically both in violation, so if we deny this, we're two people.
if we go with it, then that house has infectious invalidity.
No, if we grant the variance, Attorney Galvin, I'm looking at you, if we grant the variance, then everybody's okay.
If you grant the variance and nobody appeals it.
Yep,
Then you've.
Cured
allowed
the
deviation from the bylaw,
yep.
and then it cures the infectious invalidity issue.
Or if the two-family converts to a single family.
Correct.
Somebody got their cake and ate it too. and skirted the.
Yeah, but he's long gone at this point.
Yeah.
He's long
I
gone.
understand
Yeah.
that.
You know,
But I don't-
The reality is
I'm-
people buy properties with problems all the time, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, they inherit the
And,
problem.
and I've had it up to here where people were buying properties with problems. I mean, Concord Street is a classic
Mm.
example.
Mm.
But I think.
And then, and the whole world is watching this, the whole town is watching it, and they say, well, you know, hey, I didn't know. And you know, and you beg for forgiveness because it's, you ask for permission, the answer is no.
But the difference here is the applicant had no idea before he
Mhm.
bought it that he needed to ask permission to do anything.
The difference is zoning is in place to keep things in control, to prevent noxious usage. Now, we got box trucks, pickup trucks, flatbed trailers delivering vehicles to this property where apparently repairs
I
are being.
think you should confine yourself to the variance and deal with
Yep.
other zoning issues
At another time, yep. But I hear what he's trying to do. He's trying to, he's
I'm
looking at
trying to
it.
preserve the town.
Yeah, no, I hear what he's trying to do, but Attorney Galvin, you gotta, when it comes to the other zoning variant, the other zoning infractions, we'll give it to Mr., I'm gonna drop that on Mr. Rubel's hands.
They're really not relevant to
Yeah.
whether a variance should or should not issue.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I'll make a motion to deny the variance because there's no hardship to the land.
I'll second the motion.
I hate you both. I got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? This is paining me. Any other discussion? Please, have some discussion. No other discussion? All in favor to deny the variance? All in favor?
Opposed?
All opposed. I can't do it.
So the motion to deny,
Fail.
no. The motion.
It's 3-2.
Three
3 to
people
2
voted in favor of
denying.
2 voted in favor of granting.
Yep.
Is that the way you see it?
Gentlemen?
Yes.
3 to deny, 2 to grant.
Good.
I think the variance was granted by doing it that. You should have voted to.
I
approve
disagree. It still.
Do we want to
requires-
reword the motion?
that. You need a 4 to deny it. He made the motion to deny it, not to grant it. If he made the motion to grant it, then we would have needed 4 to win.
You'd
But you
need
made a
4
motion.
in motion to deny passed by a majority vote.
I think you need a 4 out of 5 and a 5-member board.
To deny? I disagree. You only needed,
Majority.
no. If the applicant doesn't get an approval by a 4-to-1 vote of a 5-member board, it fails. And the motion was made to deny, and that passed by a majority, so it fails.
I think that's good. I mean, first of all, I want to thank you all for your time. I mean that sincerely, a deliberation. I appreciate that. Obviously, your vote's in, and I respectfully disagree. I think this may end up an appeal, unfortunately. And I think your vote was the wrong way. It should have been to allow it, and then if we don't get 4 votes, we lose. Because we need 4 to make it.
Attorney Galvin?
You can also continue to, you can take it in the reverse. You can make a motion to grant, and the vote will be 2 in favor and 3 opposed, if that's the way the vote comes. So you want to do,
You already made your
frame it in
you
that?
already made your motion and vote, with all due respect.
It's already been denied, how do we then
We haven't
resurrect
clo-
it?
we haven't closed the public hearing,
No.
so.
Well, can that motion be rescinded? If the
It
vote
can be reconsidered, sure.
All right, then,
The motion is, the public hearing isn't closed.
then
I
let's.
thought motions to reconsider have to wait till the
The
next.
deliberation's not
Meeting.
public.
The public
closed.
portion of the hearing is closed.
Yep.
The public hearing is still open for the board's deliberations. So if the board wishes to do that, you can frame it in the alternative.
I just want to make sure that we're not getting hung up on specific
I don't think
verbiage
you
or
are, but
anything.
if you want to make it clear, why don't you make a motion to approve?
All right.
Take a vote, and see what happens.
Respectfully, I don't think you.
See, this is, I hear what you're saying, and this is kind of where, unfortunately, I always have to see both sides of the coin, so.
I know, well, I think you drove twice on it, I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but now you.
Well, I've been doing it for
two
30
votes.
years, and I think you can rescind your prior vote and take another vote. Yeah, well,
No one's asked for reconsideration in the audience. You made your vote, but anyway, you guys have been.
I think that the debate with the audience is not helpful at this point.
Okay.
Okay, if the board wishes to,
If Mr. Baker wishes to.
No, I can fix this. I make a motion to reconsider
Reconsider.
the vote.
thank you.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. All right, I got a motion, do I have a second?
I second.
I got a second right there. So all in favor to reconsider the motion? Yeah, just reconsider it, and it's because we're gonna reword everything, right?
So.
So everybody's in favor?
No.
No.
You're
he's
not?
It passes by a majority.
Okay,
Passes by a
that's
majority.
fine, that's fine, okay,
Now
so now we're gonna reword this.
you're gonna bring a motion to approve, right?
Me?
Well, you're
I'll
gonna-
make a motion to approve.
No.
He makes the motion to approve.
No.
Oh, no,
He-
yeah,
he's
you
let-
make it.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, I'll make the motion to approve. That's fine.
All in favor to, all in favor to, all in.
No.
Second.
There's no second.
Is there a second?
Oh. I can't second.
Why
Why
can't you?
can't you?
I don't, it's, the chair's never been.
You have to decide whether to second this or not.
Okay, so I can second it?
Yes,
I
sure.
second it.
Okay. Any discussion?
Any discussion?
All in favor of the approval of the variance?
Signal by raising your hand.
Okay, 2 votes in favor. All those opposed to the grant of the variance? Okay, so the vote is 2 in favor, 3 opposed. The grant of the variance fails. Now you can close your vote.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor, close the public hearing. Sorry.
Thank you for your time, Mr.
Do
Chairman.
you have other matters with your?
Yeah, I know.
I got one
What else we got?
That's it.
All right. Gentlemen, I'm not disappointed. I am not disappointed in any of you. I'm just not feeling real good for them. That's all. That's all.
No minutes?
No minutes.
No, I haven't.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Hell out of here.